paying attention, or, you know, just different stuff, or like where to go in your house if you were getting attacked, or, I don't know, it was pretty good.
This conference will now be recorded.
It's in your kitchen.
Because of the knives and utensils.
Yeah.
Utensils. Usually a kitchen has an aisle and you can separate your stuff.
We'll begin with the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We welcome everyone to the August 15th Marion County Commission meeting. We have 4 commissioners in person and Jonah Gehring is online. Jonah, are you there? Gotcha. Good deal. All right, we're open for public comments. I believe we have.
You want me to go first?
Ladies first.
No. So I just have.
I'm going to ask you to come up to the microphone for our people online and then
Take a
state
special
your name.
seat right here.
Wow. Yeah.
Right.
So my biggest concern was I live out in Albany, at 140th and Pawnee.
Why don't you introduce yourself?
Oh, I'm Amy Soye. So, my concern was how the KDOT study was actually done, as far as, because like if you think about if it's just based on residents that live out there, if there was consideration for landowners that obviously drive, like, so say, for example, at our house, we only have 2 people that actually are licensed drivers, but we have trucks, tractors, you know, all kinds of things. So, but then if you think about it too, like, say Alan and Susie Hett, they own land around that area, so were they actually taken into consideration as far as like the number? I just want to make sure, I know that whatever's done is done, but the surface that's going to be put on there in place needs to be something that's not just a rock surface. Like, also, I don't think that there was a ticker ever put out there for actual testing of traffic, and that would have probably been pretty helpful to try to see like church traffic. They have them on Wednesdays and then on Sundays, and that gets a lot of traffic that, you know, so.
My understanding, and Bryce is online, that he can either chip in or come upstairs. My understanding is KDOT just does them on, we have no notice of when they come out.
Okay.
It's part of their program they do statewide. They come out, put out the counters, and I think it's about once every 2 years. Is that
No,
so?
we get a list of those roads that have been.
Then we get the
they put
results.
counters on.
Okay.
But we-
When you do it for 24 hours too?
Correct. But
So
we-
that's not a very good
Well, that's-
representation, do you see what I'm saying?
Right, if it's not on Sunday next to church, or if it's done during harvest, say
Right.
on
Right.
some roads, harvest
Sure.
traffic is
Right.
incredible. But
Right.
if it's on some of those roads, if it's done on Sunday, well, then there's no traffic.
Right.
Well, here's the man with the answers, so.
Hi, you.
How are the KDOT traffic studies done on our Marion County roads?
They're done every 3 years or so.
3 years, okay.
KDOT comes out, puts out the sensors, they run across there. They put them out there for a specific amount of time. I don't know what that is. Then they come out and pick them up. The sensor basically collects every time a tire hits it.
Correct.
So it is the best objective way of trying to find out the number of axles that are out there, so that a car would only give you 2, down on up. So they have a formula that will determine, based on that, was how much time was there on what the kind and type of traffic was there. It's the best information that we have, other than just sitting somebody out there to count vehicles. Well, or whatever the case may be. Oh, there was a passenger car, there was a whatever else. So that is and then it's posted on they do every county in the state that way. And so that's posted on there, and they update them every 3 years. That's the information that most people use, simply because it's relatively the only information we have, other than putting somebody out there to count those vehicles.
And you can't just do your own ticker and run it for your own specific amount of time?
Nobody has those.
Okay.
They're a very high. We've actually had some in the past, and I checked in to get them redone, and they said basically they're obsolete.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So they, they're a high maintenance thing because they get put out there in all kinds of conditions, all kinds of traffic. And so if we had a special request, other than what KDOT does, we can talk to our LTAP or our affiliates in the Kansas Association of Counties, that we could do that, but we've never really gone to the point of getting to that point because they're limited on people and staff as well.
Well, my only concern with that would be that it's the same type of a surface as the east side of the road, instead of just having it be gravel.
Well, I look at the fact is, regardless of what the surface is, I want it to be as safe and as smooth as possible. The east side of Sunflower is falling apart as well.
It is, yeah.
And it has the same characteristics of what we just did here, going east. It's got, and actually, I talk with Ringies quite a bit. It actually has performed very, very well up till this point. These 107-degree days have not treated it fairly. And we're probably looking at something to do with that as well. Whether it be the same process, whether we go back and patch it and it holds, I really don't know. We've been very adamant to keep all the big construction trucks off there. They put out signs, and anytime we've seen out there, the problem is we still have people that are using it, and other than having a law enforcement or whatever else out there to stop them, so we're constantly trying to work on that. But I mean, it's got maybe an inch and a half of material for blacktop as well.
So now that the base is kind of, you guys have milled up the base and we're not able to drive on it, how long do you think that it'll get to be to where you'll put some kind of a...
I want to get started on that right away if I could just find enough people to do what I want to do. I've got chip seal going on right now that we've pulled.
No concrete? I'm just kidding.
We've got, well, we could do concrete too, but I pulled 4 or 5 people just out of sections just to operate equipment right now. So I want to get on it as soon as I can, because but we have to find higher trucks as well to do that. So.
And Bryce explained to us last week, the plan is to put on an aggregate pack and then bring our cap rock on top of that. Again, water pack, so it's processed. So when it's finished, there's a good solid gravel surface. Our hope then is to let that settle over the winter, again blading and packing, and then reassess come spring.
Okay.
But that'll give it time to settle up that base on top of the sub base.
Yeah.
I'd call the milling a sub base in this case.
Okay.
Is that what you wanted?
Yeah, well, not really, but...
Going to concrete.
I'm just gonna be honest.
I told her, I said, we can go with concrete if that's what you want. So.
Curb and gutters, come on, all the way.
How much are you willing to pay?
You were talking about the values of those properties out there.
Then it would go up higher.
Isn't that called a special assessment or something like that? So, yeah.
GoFundMe page.
Yeah.
GoFundMe, Marion County.
That's good. Thank you, Bryce.
All right.
Thank you.
Answer your question. Did you have any question? Okay.
Hey, my name is Jerry Mendoza. I also live on 140th. And, some of my concerns were Amy already brought up, but my biggest concern was just the process of notifying the residents around the area before the construction started. Because like I got there the 25th, which was that Monday, and I drove up to roadblocks and on both sides of 140th, and I had no clue what was going on, but Amy let me know, that whole road is gonna be taken out. And, with residents not knowing what's going on and they see the road's gone, then their first assumption is, I'm gonna get a dirt road going forward. And so, so I just wanted to see if there was some sort, I know it's already, like Amy said, it's what's done is done, but, in the future, maybe, I know there's not a lot of residents out there, so maybe door-to-door paper or something, just letting them know, hey, this is what's gonna happen. I know there's some residents that have actual business there that they run on the weekends, and so what happens with the customers that see the roadblocks and can't get through. And so, and the other concern was, how soon is the rock gonna be on there with the rain coming? with dirt. I mean, we've got one SUV, but the other 3 cars are sedans. And so, yes, exactly. And so just getting through that road with sedans is going to be tricky. And so
Can you go north or south?
Well, even in front of my house, it's just it's
He
just
lives
dirt.
right on 140th.
Yeah, I
like
just
right off.
right off of 140th. So getting onto
To the nearest gravel road? I
yeah,
guess.
yeah. So that is the trickiest part right there. So I've got half a mile either way to get to it, and so that was one of the biggest concerns. Is I've got 2 teenagers that Jeff can attest to. They don't abide by the as teenagers do, but just the concern for safety for them. So
Can I clarify on this, what he's getting after, Dave, because I don't think you understood what
Yeah.
he's saying. I drove on that since they've been working on it.
It's soft, I
It
have
is
too.
super soft.
Like
And
deep
if it
snow.
rains, I think there's sedans. He can't even get out of his driveway to go around to the nearest rock road because it's so soft.
And then if he goes north, then it's a mud road, because that's Quill Creek, and it's mud on the north half of 140th, but the south half of it
Yeah.
isn't, but then it takes him a while to even, probably about half a mile to get to Pawnee.
and there's a creek right on our east side of our house that if there's a good rain, it washes over the road. So.
That's the privilege of living in the country.
Yeah.
That's- you
Well,
chose-
that's why we chose that
you chose
house,
to
because
live
it
there.
had a paved road, so,
Pretty.
but yeah, the big concern of mud and getting stuck in there. So,
Well, again, I think their intent is to get it as soon as possible.
Yeah.
With labor shortages, of course,
Oh,
it's a
yeah.
challenge. We may have to reassess some contracts, some hauling.
They're probably gonna have to contract all that.
It's short 10
But
people.
at the same time, it can't just be spread, especially that, because the transition is gonna be just about as
Oh,
rough,
yeah,
because you're gonna
yeah.
have
Base
big
rock.
base rock before they get it capped. So there's gonna be a day or two in between, before that cap's on, the teenagers are gonna have to drive real slow, or there's gonna be a lot of flat tires.
Oh, they've already learned that's what they're gonna have to do.
Okay. All right. There's an online comment. I can't see it, so.
Is there,
Do you want me to read it?
Yes, would you, Tina, please?
Okay, it's from Brett Banneker, and he says, if it is that soft, I hope the plan is to work on the base before they do a double chip seal again.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the plan. That is the plan. So again, the base rock needs to get out there, and then the cap rock. We'll work with Bryce to. Randy?
I have not driven it. I started to last week, and I had one of those vehicles like you're driving in the blue one, and it was clean, so I decided, I saw the dirty windshields go down, and I decided I'd turn around about a half a mile down. But does it feel that soft?
oh, it's bad.
I mean, even after you've been driven on for a couple of days.
Yeah, I didn't drive on it this week. I just drive on it in the evenings, just I want to see everybody's tooling around out there.
Yeah.
And it was, especially up by his house, it was extremely soft. I mean, to the point where I thought, and it was dry out, I thought, man, am I gonna have to lock this in 4-wheel drive?
The reason why I'm asking that is because right beside the equipment, sitting there at Jeff's place in the east end, is a big roller, sheep's foot with, I mean, it's a heck of a machine, and I just, that's why when you said this, I don't know what that sheep's foot did then, it must not have done what
It
a
just
sheep's foot
depends on how
usually
much
does.
water they got on.
Well,
And I'm pretty sure when I drove on it, that sheep foot hadn't been over it.
Well,
I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure. it
Yeah, I
hadn't.
drove on it right after the machine, and it was 2 inches of solid, it felt like you're driving in deep snow.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't want a lot of people driving on it, because I don't want it to impact what they've already done, you know what I mean? But like, obviously
You're not supposed to be
people-
driving on
Well, and that's why I tried not to, I didn't want to get the law called on me.
there's some
so.
people's gotta drive on it no matter what.
Yeah, like
If you
mine,
live
I
there,
had,
you got it.
Yeah, he
there's
has
no way,
to.
either way.
Right, he has
Yeah.
to.
Yeah.
Right.
I just thank you for that, because I'm anxious to see, because we are planning on putting a base down, base rock, and then coming back with a gray rock on top, the good hard rock. And
It's progress.
supposedly, when we get done, it should be top-notch rock road, not the great anything, but right now. But that's not the end of it. We want to take, and when this whole process started, we just wanted to get it safe and good, but then put it on the list for either double chip seal or blacktop.
Is this what you guys did for Pilsen Road too, the same exact procedure?
Pilsen Road. We tore it apart, and not like this,
Oh,
but
no.
we had our old machine, and we put a lot of rock back on it, and then that's a double chip seal that you're driving on the Pilsen Road from the highway to Pilsen, yes. Yeah, or Nighthawk's a double chip seal too, so. But our plan's not to leave you out there in the mud, that's for sure, so.
Actually, it's probably gonna take a rain before they can pack it.
Yeah.
I don't think there's enough moisture there to pack anything. Probably couldn't haul enough water.
Well,
Yeah,
probably.
yeah, Bryce said that was part of the problem. On 100-degree days, they had to quit early because it was too dry.
Yeah.
They only worked till noon or something.
I think just people in there kind of gotta realize that, you know, things get worse before they get better. When you tear something apart, you gotta go through the hard part before you get to the good part.
This gentleman right here is an example, 'cause you can tell by his letters, you can tell by what he's written us, that he hasn't been in a place like Marion County, that they're out in the country. I don't know whether you've been in the city most of your life or what you've been, but you can tell that he expects it's tore down 90 days from now, it's fixed. That you can just tell by his letters. And out here, it takes us some time in between to build these roads. The east or west of Alney Church, is say that 2 miles, that was done 7, 8 years ago, maybe even longer than that. I know that, and you know, look at the shape it's in. It's still just as, but it was just done by our graders and machine, just like the Pilsen Road was done. And so, you know, it took us a while to get there, but Pawnee going north, Jesse Ham did that from by your place and going north. So it takes time for us, Jerry. I mean, I understand where you've been and what you see, but give us a chance.
Oh,
Yeah, I think you will. Thank you.
all right, does that answer your questions? Well, appreciate you taking one.
I'm sorry, there is another online comment. Do you want that at this time?
Can you read it?
From Brad again, he said, I would also like to say the 13-mile road is nice, however, already have a patch on. I also, what was the current, I don't know, something about a change order for rock on shoulder and wondering why they did not have the contractor do the intersections and drives.
I think Bryce addressed that the county was gonna do the intersections and drives because of the cost. Is that, you remember it?
That's exactly what Bryce said, yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay, that should answer the question. All right, well, thank you for the public comments. I do especially the comment about communication and letting landowners, I will try to do better job of that, because it is important landowners know what's going on.
We have-
I shouldn't say landowners, the residents.
Yeah, I was gonna say, not
The
everybody
residents.
has Facebook or is even
Yes,
active
yes,
on
yes,
Facebook, and so that's,
yes.
you know.
But that does help.
They have been putting those on the county website also.
But if your residents are informed, then they are
Yeah.
more understanding of what's coming. So we will try to do a better job with that. All right, thank you.
Hey, I'm surprised, because last summer, summer before, we did have notification when we did Nighthawk and things like that. There was notification given, you know, door tags. Steve Hudson did something.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I know he personally did something, so that's why I was surprised that there's not some more. because
Yeah,
Steve's
I
still
came
there.
home that day from taking the girls to town and saw road closed, and I texted Bryce and I'm like, what the what? How is this?
Yeah.
And he's like, sorry, check Facebook. And I'm like, I don't have Facebook. Like, I don't check it, so.
Yeah.
The door hanger thing is a good.
It's great for people
Yeah.
to immediately contact it.
Yeah.
But that
She
takes-
can go north, but
Yeah.
this guy can't.
Yeah.
We don't feel sorry for her.
There you go. All right, well, thank you again. Appreciate it. Hope you got some answers today. All right, we'll move into agenda approval. Are there any additions to the agenda?
I will be slipping out of here at probably 3:15. There's some, I got the HCDDO over in Newton, and there's been some things happening in Harvey County that we want to discuss today, and I want to be there. so.
Okay, 3:15. We should be into the demonstration by then. If there's no other agendas, we will proceed with the agenda as presented and move into administrative business.
Okay, on the table today in front of you, there's a letter of support for TCW to apply for a grant.
This is similar to what they did in some of the other areas of Marion County.
Obviously, high-speed internet's crucial to our communities, and this would be a benefit. They have an opportunity for grant funding and are simply asking for letter support. So this is basically the same letter, just putting a couple changes for the locations. I would ask for a motion to approve the letter of support.
So,
Okay, motion by Commissioner Becker, second by Commissioner Crowfoot. Discussion or questions? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. You good, Jonah?
I was an aye.
Okay, 5-0. Thank you.
Just needed a little bit of clarification on the changes that he made on wages last week for the EMS department. What effective date will that be?
Next pay period?
Yeah. Whenever, the easiest available, first date easy available for you to do, to accomplish.
August 20th.
So, August 21st would be the beginning of the pay period, is
Okay.
that?
August 21st.
I'd make that motion.
Do you need a motion or is that just
I
clarification?
think as clarification and consensus is okay.
Okay.
I do have 2 budgeted transfers.
Okay, road and bridge sales tax to capital improvement fund of $106,900.67. And the main road and improvement 7 mil to capital improvement fund, $374,152.33.
So those are both general fund transfers to the capital improvement, as we budget.
I would move to approve the transfers. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Galkey. Questions, discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Motion carried 5-0. And we have another one, road and bridge to special equipment, $116,666.66. I would move to approve the transfer. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Commissioner Crowfoot. Questions or discussion?
We have foregone that one in the past, a time or two, if I remember right.
We do these 3 times a year, so generally if we forego it, it's the final transfer.
I question that transfer based on staff that we have and that we, right now, we have a surplus of equipment right now.
Well, we've also purchased quite a bit in this year.
Right, we've purchased a lot this year.
Right. So,
But the large stuff, we do lease financing on.
And lease
We still need to
financing
make
doesn't
the
come out of
lease
special
purchase.
equipment.
We still need to make the lease purchase payments though.
Out of special equipment.
Yes.
Yes,
That's where we pay it from.
we pay it from special equipment.
Right, but I mean, those monies come out of there and then come right back in with the lease. When we do lease financing, that money comes back in after we purchased it. We do the lease purchase agreement and that comes back in.
Right, but we have to have money in the fund to pay the payments for the lease purchase.
Okay.
I'd like to get a breakdown on those payments again.
Okay, Tina, could you get a breakdown from
Sure.
Commissioner Becker?
I can have it for the next meeting.
That'd be fun.
I'm gonna go ahead and call the question on the motion. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, nay.
Nate?
Motion carried 4-1.
I too would be interested in seeing just exactly with the four purchases that we made on graders, just to see where we're gonna be setting, because it's gonna be a little higher than what it has been.
Okay, you've got one salary sheet. This is the transfer station, Nicholas Weiner, new transfer station worker one, $2,300, effective 8/9/2022.
And I have their transfer paperwork.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay. Thank you.
Jonah here to pass.
In your packet, you have a sample of an R&R notice. So these were mailed out, and they've gone to every taxpayer because the county is exceeding R&R. That automatically means that every single taxpayer gets one. And so basically, it shows what the revenue neutral rate would be for each entity and what sort of tax that could mean. I mean, it's all estimates versus what their proposed budget is and what tax that would generate. And then it also has a list of all of the hearings that affect each property. So that is basically in a nutshell what that is. And I did include some information on the back of the notices. And it's basically, it's not a bill, it's just a personal invitation to every taxpayer to any budget hearing that they want to go to. For
Some of which are already over. Some of the smaller entities.
Well, so if they were, no. I mean, if they wanted to do.
Okay, was their revenue neutral?
Right, because the.
Hearing, then they have to have a budget hearing.
Yes, so some entities in the county, a lot of the entities just had a simple budget to where.
Yes.
Those ones, some of them have had their
Yes.
hearings. For revenue neutral, nobody is allowed to hold their hearing before August 20th. And so, and our notices had to go out at least 10 days before the earliest
Okay.
hearing. So we had three batches of notices that had to be sent because the company that was mailing them requested that we do it in 3 batches. So they did the earliest ones first, and then later ones next.
I haven't had time to sit down, I picked mine out of the mail there this weekend, and I haven't had time to sit down and try to figure it out just from that and what I know, so I hope the normal taxpayer can figure it out.
It's gonna be really confusing,
So that's what
honestly,
I
for
thought.
taxpayers.
It don't look like
I mean,
fun.
because it shows prior year tax rate and the
Yes.
tax bill,
Yeah.
but the revenue neutral isn't exactly the same. And then they also have to look at their value, because if their value changed, that changes it.
Yes.
And then, obviously, this is not the time, they've received valuation notices from the appraiser's office, and this is not a time they can protest. That's already passed. So I anticipate that when they get this, they may think that they can protest their value, which they can't. And
Yeah.
anyway.
Yes, you did a very nice job of summarizing information on the second page. I do appreciate that. But even so, as you said, the calls that I've already been getting are, well, my valuation went up.
Mhm.
They missed that and they got their valuation.
Right.
Or they got reminded of it. Well,
It's
why
just
is my
another,
valuation going up?
right, it's just another thing for them to,
So what did the county have to spend to do this?
around $9,000. And the state is supposed to be reimbursing us, but we don't know the process for that yet.
So tax money, yeah.
Yeah, in addition, some of the small districts, I mean, obviously, that we used to have the cemetery districts and our fire districts would do their budget with the county's budget, and so we would publish all that together, and so they never had to do their own publication for their budget hearing. And now, starting last year, which was the first year of the truth in taxation legislation, they had to hold their own hearings, which meant they had to put an extra $200 or up dollars a year into their budget, which caused some of them to go over revenue neutral just for those notices. And then, of course, this year and next year, the state is supposed to reimburse the county, but following that, if this is still in effect, I will have to bill all those entities for their portion of the notice based on a percentage. And then they'll have to raise their taxes even more to cover the cost of the notices. So, I have a list of the legislators that were the ones that introduced this, if anybody is interested in that. And I did put on the back of the notice, if anybody has feedback, if they want to submit that in writing, I'd be happy to share it with the legislature. You know, I think maybe in some areas this is helpful to the taxpayers. I don't know about in Marion County if this is more helpful or hurtful to the taxpayers. So anyway, I just wanted to make sure that you understood that these have gone out. They're required by law. This is what they look like. This is what they are. And it was a major push for every county to do this right now during this time of year. And the vendors, you know, some of the districts that we share valuation because the districts cross county lines. And those ones are particularly challenging to get correct because we don't have all the information from all of the taxing entities and the districts and the other counties. And we really had to, I mean, I really went overboard trying to get all of that and trying to figure all that out, but I don't know that, you know, every county was able to do that. So.
Another example of government overreach that the taxpayer has to pay that has no bearing on.
Well, the issue is, you know, we've always been required to do budget hearings and to publish that in the newspaper. And the public has always had the opportunity to attend those. So we're doing that and still, but then also doing this.
Another layer of bureaucracy.
The one advantage I saw when I went through mine was, okay, this goes to one entity, this is another entity, this is a third entity, there's 10 different entities getting taxed, and then you get to the county entity. Oh, it doesn't all go to the county. And
It breaks it out on your tax bills too, though.
Yes, but it seemed to stand out a little more on this one, because when people call, they go, well, you're getting this much, well, no, we're getting this much. Well, the roads are getting this much, no, the roads are getting this much.
Yeah.
That was the one. The other thing that caught me was I hadn't realized earlier, but each property parcel gets a letter.
Yes,
So it's a stack.
yes.
It's ridiculous.
Because, and the reason for that is that different properties have different taxing entities attached to them. And so if your property's not all in one place, you're gonna be paying into a different school district here versus here. different-
Watershed district.
Yes, fire districts and cemetery districts. So,
Well, again, thank you, Tina, especially doing it during the busiest time of the year.
it was great fun, I can tell you.
Did the Giants of Joy when it was completed?
The job
Yes,
description just
actually.
keeps growing.
I wanted to make you aware also, and I know that the sheriff was gonna be putting some information out about this, that there have been some letters going out from a company to Marion County landowners, basically sending them an offer to purchase their property and telling them to sign if they wanna
I've got
purchase,
one laying on the table.
if they wanna
Oh, yeah.
sell.
Okay.
So we've just been talking a little bit about it, just because it could be confusing to some of our, especially our older citizens. You know, and we-
Since you're here, would you mind taking a minute or two to go into that? Because I know I've had several calls about it.
I just wanted to make sure that
It's
you're
Everybody,
aware.
all my neighbors and myself, we all got offers.
Oh, yeah, but
So it's from the BCP Land Company. I'm sorry, I don't have any of the paperwork in front of me. It's out of Frisco, Texas. It's owned by an individual, I don't remember his name. They actually are a land investment company. I have reached out to them twice now and called them with, I get a secretary every time, but I don't get an owner, I don't get an investor, I get nobody. I told them that if they needed to send letters out, they probably ought to contact the sheriff's office or a county commission entity prior to sending a group of letters out, what I told the secretary. I told her that if we continue to get the letters and nobody wanted to call me, that I would go ahead and get a hold of the Texas authorities to investigate them. I did check into the Better Business Bureau. They say they're a legit company. My fear is that some elderly landowner will see this and sign it, thinking that there might be a better deal at the end. And what they really are is they are actually signing a purchase agreement.
Sure.
What it is.
And the offer you've seen.
Yep, I got one.
And you could probably end up selling your property for probably a quarter of what it's worth.
Yeah, it's about 25 cents
Yeah,
on the
That's
dollar.
what I saw.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was looking at. So we're putting something together in my office, and we're gonna put it out on our Facebook page. I've already talked to
Good.
Tina. And what we did though is we got a sample letter of a Marion County citizen, from a citizen, and then we took it to our redacting system in our computer. So we redacted the names and all the account information and all the offers and everything
Yep.
on it, so it would show a broad letter.
Yep.
And then we're gonna put it on our Facebook page. When we get put together, we're gonna share it with Tina. She's gonna put it on the county website.
Excellent.
To make sure that the people are aware of it. I actually, just to kind of side note here, we started putting on a presentation for elderly scams in the county, and I put some brochures out here in the hallway. We're reaching out to like the senior centers and stuff like that, and this is gonna be implemented as part of that as well.
Good.
So maybe we can get a hold of some of it before they're formed.
Excellent.
But as far as business wise, I mean, I can't do anything. I mean, they're a legit business. They're preying on the weak is all they're after. So that's where we're at, and that's where it stands right now.
Very good. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Not a problem. Thanks to Tina too.
Yep.
She's actually able to get me, I think you're the one who got me the letter.
Yeah, I just, I sneak it in to make sure to get it to you. Okay.
County clerk open it.
Oh, sure. Okay, so we have these sealed bids for the metal at the parking lot. And we have 2 bids that were received.
See, this is how we're gonna pay for it.
They can be, before we read them, they can be, anything can be accepted or turned down.
Yes.
You don't have to accept the local.
Thank you, Tina. First bid is $2,800 from Jonah Gehring. And the second bid is $1,525 from Brian Wolf. Commission's wishes.
What's it worth of paying?
Then you gotta.
Did we have any kind of scrap value put on that at any time?
No, we haven't had nobody figure scrap value, but it's, I think,
Then you gotta
one
hold-
person
gotta hold
come
it.
up with it, if it was prepared and everything, it was around 4,000 or 5,000.
Then you have the cost
Scrap
of
value,
preparing it.
but you have to prepare it.
Yeah.
You gotta spend $2,000 to get it ready.
Yeah.
Cut up.
Mhm.
So in this way, it's done, it's over, it's hauled off.
Yeah.
The public had an opportunity,
Yeah. Yeah.
It was an open bid, Commissioner Crowfoot.
Motion that to take the high bid of $2,800 from Jonah Gehring.
Okay,
That was your motion?
Yes.
A second by Commissioner Dahlke.
Yes.
Any discussion?
That includes removal.
Yes.
Yeah.
Specified time frame.
5 days.
There was no time frame specified in the ad.
End of the week. End of the week.
No comment, huh?
I
Pretty
think,
quiet.
I think 30 to 45, 30 to 60 days should be plenty.
Okay, go 30 days or 60 days?
It's no longer than 60.
60
Okay,
days.
60 days removal.
Yeah.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Crowfoot to accept high bid, $2,800, removal within 60 days. Second by Commissioner Dahlke. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? I think one
Abstain.
abstention. Yes, one abstention.
Move on.
That should conclude the long story of the Easy Dog.
Yeah.
Close that chapter.
Okay. On the table, you had some information about the ARP funds.
Yes, Commissioner Dolphy, did that
Yes.
answer your questions?
I can go through it if that's.
Yeah, why don't you go through it real quick, like, show the remaining balance?
So we have received $7,454.45 in interest. We also received our second payment, and then, so $312,500 was approved to be spent in February. That, we have not paid that out yet. The employee premium pay was $705,465.02. That was the actual. You had approved the audio-visual upgrade for $42,074. That has not occurred yet, so that's pending. And then previously you had reallocated just over $50,000 from water projects to go to the public health storage building, so that made that total of $1,039,493. Obviously that's not spent yet. And then that left $93,553.50 for short-term projects. And currently we have $1,598,775.43 in the fund.
In the, and this is not earmarked.
No, the part that's not earmarked is the $93,553.50.
But that's earmarking $1,039,493
For the building, so that's obviously subject to change. So none of the, you know, the building is not a final cost, the reserve is not final. But the other items that you have approved are actual expenditures that will be coming out at some point.
Is the security or the data work that they've been doing in the courthouse?
You all said to take that out of risk management.
Okay.
But that's a pretty big chunk to be taken out of risk management too, so.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if we ought to, since we have 93,000 not earmarked, maybe we ought to look at that.
Initially, that was one of the items that I had on your list as to be part of the ARPA, just because that can help with when we get to access control and all of that. You could go down to one entrance, you could utilize that for screening if you ever needed to for COVID.
Next week, could you bring us back the number on the security amount, and then we could evaluate whether or not to transfer that from ARPA funds or leave it out of risk management? Would that be an option that the commission be interested in?
It's possible.
I think that's the direction Commissioner Gearing was going.
Yeah, it was the direction I was going.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I can provide that next week.
Okay.
Okay, the reason why I've been after this is because, just to see where we stood and everything. Public health now is changing their, going over here. We've sort of went through contractor here to just get us a rough close, get us an estimate. And for the storage building over here by the jail, I think we've moved this trailers around and all of our stuff around enough and went through enough hassle the last couple of years that the building is definitely a need for Marion County to have. Now, we know the courthouse needs storage taken care of, and we all sort of, I think Kent was the one that said, well, take that drawing you have, give it to, I can't think. Cody, yeah. And see where we come up with, and we have, but we've left it set out there now, and if we're gonna get a building even started, it's time. I don't want the whole million, I'm looking at,
That's right.
I'm looking at maybe 700,000, and then the rest of it, we figure out how we cover it, but just get a shell up and get the basics there, and that can also mean sewer and water too, going in under concrete, that we don't wanna have to second guess. I mean, we want something there, so that's my pitch to the commission, is see just exactly how dedicated we are on this, or let's throw it out the door and just to heck with it.
Well, we need to dedicate a discussion to it. I know we were gonna do it last week, it didn't happen.
Yeah, it hasn't
I mean,
happened.
there's just
Right,
been a
right.
number of other fires come up. But let's put it on the agenda for next week.
Okay.
And let's do a little more thinking, research, so that we can, like you say, move forward. Now, remember, a portion of that is gonna be going toward the public health bill. Yeah, we don't know what the
We gotta
number
put a
is
roof
yet.
on it.
Information on that.
Right, and we're going to, that's already been it's in the process to get that number. So I guess the other question would be, do you wanna wait until you have that number? Or do you wanna go ahead and have the discussion? I think it's still valuable to have the discussion. And maybe reach out a little more, like the sheriff's department, get some input. I think the sheriff has some really good ideas on some storage ideas that might dovetail with this. But again, it still has to be document storage and trailer vehicle / other equipment storage. But it's absolutely unquestionable a need. It's just what's the best and most economical approach.
And the COVID related.
COVID deal, that's the part, the drive-through, in case
Right.
we need it
Right.
and all that.
Right.
And, I mean,
Yeah. But let's schedule that for next week and let's
Okay.
tackle that.
I don't want the ball to drop. I'd like to keep it rolling here so that we can, I mean, this is about the closest, best time for the public in Marion County.
Have you had a chance to talk to the sheriff?
No, well, we did once, and he was mentioning some outside storage for some of these little trailers that would work for.
If the two of you could meet sometime
Okay.
this week,
Okay, we can do
before
that.
next week,
Yep.
I think that'd be very
Okay,
beneficial.
do that.
Because I think you have some really good ideas.
Yep, sounds good. Thank you, sir.
So I gave you insight.
So a big part of that is, do we think building costs are gonna keep going up, or do we think they're gonna go down?
I think we just found out on trailers for the transfer station last week that it's going up. It's not going down.
You know, there's
agree with
different ways of looking at it.
Yeah.
As far as that goes, the housing economy is in a recession right
It's
now.
gonna slow down now.
Yeah, that's good.
It's gonna,
There may be
now
some-
whether that affects any kind of cost, that's probably 6 months down the road to see. But, I mean, the cost, you know how much we stuck in Hillsborough that we didn't think we were going to.
Yeah, and I'm wanting to stay away from some of the final little things that cost money in that, and just get a shell up that we can use. We don't have to run our equipment all around all over the county to put in shed here and a shed there, and let's get it under shed and under lock and key.
All right. You meet with the sheriff this week?
We will.
Tackle it next week on the
Okay.
agenda.
Sounds good, thank you.
Very good.
Christian's also meeting with Cody this week.
Okay, maybe we'll have some
Get some,
information.
Oh,
he estimated might be up to $175 to $100 a square foot. It's kind of a complete redo.
We will get there. Okay, Tina, do you have anything else administrative?
No.
Minutes?
I didn't get the new packet.
Okay, very good. I just saw it on
Just,
the, very good.
do it.
All right, we are ready for the 4-H presentation, our favorite time of the year.
Yeah.
Come on in.
There's a lot of
Come
people.
on up. Yes.
Let's just squeeze in.
Yep, squeeze on in.
Excited, got through the fair, school's coming out.
Yay, yes.
Oh, thank you.
It's always something good for you. Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah.
Can't see.
You can set it on the table.
Holy cow.
Yeah, come on in.
Maybe squeeze some more in here.
Come on in.
Yep.
Come on down and come around this
Come up
way.
in front of the chairs.
Yep, you can come up here too. It's okay. All right, so
Well,
we are
welcome.
here based on Marion County 4-H, and of course we have our commissioners' gift baskets. So we always like to give a little token of our appreciation for all that you guys do for the Marion County 4-H program. So within our gift baskets, what we have this year is similar to last year. So we try to find at least 4 items that represent different 4-H projects. And our projects that we have, and we place those into baskets. So I will let each club introduce themselves. We have 5 or 6 clubs here for the 5 commissioners' baskets, yes. And so we'll let each of them kind of present what they have, who their club is. And so I don't know if I'm gonna do like based upon which district you are, like which is closest to their club, might be easiest. Or if you really like something, I guess you can claim it. Jonah's not here, so I guess he gets what's left now.
Jonah doesn't get anything.
Yeah, it's all right. If
They'll
you're not
take
here,
two.
you don't get that.
Yeah, they'll take them both. So yeah, so I will go ahead and let our Lincolnville Wide Awake present.
Okay, so us four from the Lincolnville Wide Awake 4-H Club, and we have spice rubs, and then a pot holder that Aaron made, and then we have a cookie jar mix, a photo of sunset, and then a drawing of a horse from one of our younger members.
Nice.
Our club also made the basket with some wood, and we had to help nail it all together. And then we put the horseshoes on too.
Very nice.
What club were you with?
Lincolnville Wide Awake.
Okay.
And we're all Carlson kids.
Who'd have thought?
Okay, so Gossel is not here, so they made some dry spice rubs. What is it? A ceramic and duct tape pens. And they had a picture of a boy with this cow. There's ribbon. A picture of cows with a frame. What's it called? A paintbrush. A homemade one, and then I think they made this. And a cookie jar.
Ooh, that's the Gossel Club?
That's Gossel, yes.
Very nice.
Yes.
Basket too.
They made this.
Yeah, they just read.
Very nice.
We're from the Tampa Cities Club, and there is so much.
So everything in here is member made. One of the members made 2 loads of soap. Hannah made some lip balm and body lotion.
And goat milk soap.
Goat milk soap.
Goat milk.
One of
All
the members-
local goat milk, all locally made.
One of our members made like a dish scrub, and then I made 2 pot holders to go as a lining of the basket, and then my brother actually welded the basket together.
Cool.
Wow.
Very nice.
Cool. And how old was your brother?
He graduated this year.
Okay, so, okay. I think there's commissioners here, at least I know myself, I missed the goat milking contest. That was, we had a lot of fun at the fair with that. So.
We're talking about bringing that
I
back.
think you need
Yeah,
to.
we're talking about
Wait
doing
2
some.
years, then you can bring
Yeah,
it
some like
No,
athletics
no,
in
no,
it.
you need to be
Okay, so we have Happy Hustlers next. Can you help me showcase this? Can I hold it for you and you can point to different things that you made?
Basil's our first year 4-H
Uh-huh.
member. All the older 4-H members from our family decided that they didn't need to come do this today. So Basil volunteered. And we're the Salisbury family. We're from Marion here at Happy Hustlers. So we have a photography project, and then do you remember what they did for this? We have a charcuterie board that was
No, it's
made
a hard word to say.
by a club member, and then we have different animals since it was hooves in the air as our theme for the fair this year. And then there's some arts and crafts projects that are further down. The basket's kind of settled as it's been taken to the fair and back. There's some halters in here, and then there's a thing of like pictures that we took from the club, and they just compiled them all. And then there's a few recipes too. So lots of different families helped make this.
Very nice.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Here, so we're not fighting our South Cottonwood Club.
So we're South Cottonwood, and we're the Hine family, and we have some different items from different kids in the club. We have a clay-made dragon that a 3rd grader actually hand sculpted all by herself, and then she also did wrapped jewelry on her own. We have a batch of chocolate chip half and half regular chocolate chip cookies made by one of our members. A batch of trail mix made by this gentleman here, and one of our members has a vanilla making business, and so we have 2 bottles of homemade vanilla here for you too.
Very
So
good.
Thank you.
Yes. So I'll let you guys fight over which ones you won. But yeah, do you have any questions for
Yeah, I do.
any of our members?
How many of you, just hold your hands up, enjoy what you get to do in 4-H?
Yay.
Everybody? Yeah, cool, cool. That's something that, there's a lot of kids don't get to do that, so appreciate it, and appreciate you folks, the mothers and fathers and
Yeah.
cousins and brothers and stuff like that, that weld and things like that. Appreciate that for all of us.
Yeah, we have about 153, I believe, 4-Hers this year. So, yeah.
That's great.
It is good. We're very happy with that.
Do you ever get together and have one big meeting?
We do. So we have our annual banquet.
Okay.
So it's our achievement banquet. And so that'll be the first Sunday in November. And this year we're doing something kind of unique or something fun. We're actually having all of the awards that our 4-H members won at the county fair. Those are going to be presented at the achievement banquet this year.
Cool.
And so with that, we had some great sponsors and donors. So we're able to actually get personalized awards. So they're going to get a personalized jacket, kind of like a show jacket that they can brag about with like what they want on the back. Some crew necks or sweatshirts with it, personalized belt buckles. So a lot of really cool, neat things that we were able to get this year. So yeah, it'll be a fun one.
Well, thank you for thinking of us.
Yes, of
Maybe you can come
course.
twice a year.
Yeah. Just add a little something else to it. Well, could we take a picture with you guys here?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, if you guys want to kind of just scrouch down maybe in front.
Randy and I can stand and you guys.
And then your boots high, you got to scooch down a little bit. There we go.
There we go.
Another one in the chairs.
She will be
You want the, let's bring that one in front.
Yeah, I get the baskets.
There we go.
Give us that last one right here.
Take one up there.
Hold it up here where you can see it.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go.
I
Just
think
hold
we
it
got
right
it.
There you go, Randy.
Just hold it right here between.
Perfect. All right, ready? 1, 2, 3. Wonderful, okay. You gonna get your hand?
Yep.
Thank you
All
all.
right, well, thank you guys all so
Thank you.
much
Very
for having
good.
us come and present today.
Thank you again, and not only the parents and the family, but the project leaders. Yeah, there's lots of long hours put in.
There are lots of long hours for them, yes. We can do something right over here on this table.
You drop them off at the sheriff's office.
Take them over, Jeff. Hi, Jeff. Oh, I'm sorry, bud.
Go that way.
Yeah. All right, guys, thank you. I'm in here for you guys for the next one.
Yeah,
So,
sounds great timing.
You see me twice.
Are you the hype man?
I suppose so.
She's
Yeah.
efficient.
I am. My feet are today.
Your feet are hurting from the shoes?
I am next, yeah.
Great.
I'll put these down here so that way we have that camera. You guys can take home some goodies now. How exciting.
Well, I'm glad Gary's not here today. 'Cause
That's
he usually jumps in and gets the first.
Oh, you know, there's
Yeah.
one basket that's only about 2 inches square. It has, what,
Yeah.
one M&M in it.
Yeah, I'd be like, well, we have
saved
one, but
it
it's
for
just
you.
this for you.
Yeah, it gets a bundle.
Yes.
Split up the cookies.
Too bad you're not here, Mr. Gary.
I want the barbecue one, come on.
Yeah.
He
yeah, I
always
know.
likes the barbecue.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get Aaron, who's out here, I saw.
You snooze, you lose, is what they told me.
I guess.
Is Jonah on there?
Yes, he's
Oh,
on
well,
there.
good. Hey, Jonah. Sorry you're not here. Missing out.
Yeah. Front row.
Alright. Got some goodies here for you too. Not as fun as those ones though, sorry. Gonna take one of those and pass it down.
do.
Same with that. And same with that one.
Okay.
Okay, and I don't know if you got this PowerPoint or not. If not, it's fine.
I do, but I don't know.
We're excited that. So we can go ahead and get started while you're pulling it up. There's no need to have that. I printed one out so you can see it on there too. So welcome. We are now talking about the Hillsborough Community Child Care Center. Shorthand, we call it H4C. So Matt actually came up with that. So Tristan Cope, K-State Research and Extension, and then I'll let Erin introduce herself.
I'm Erin Hine, and I work for the Marion County Health Department as a Safe Kids Coordinator.
I'm Matt Stiles, I'm City Administrator in Hillsborough.
So we are here today. We are 3 members of our 9-person board for the Hillsborough Community Child Care Center. On that, and you can see if you go to the next one there, we have a board of directors. So the board of directors would be myself. I serve right now as the chair, kind of representing that civic sector. We have a treasurer, Carla Harmon, who's education sector for USD 410. We have secretary, it's Erin. Max Heinrichs, he's with the Hillsborough Community Foundation. He serves on there. We have Anthony Roy as our parent sector. Matt Stiles, as you heard, he's our civic sector. We have Jeremy Matlock as our religious sector. Mark Booker as our business sector, and then we are hoping that we can get a child care provider, one of our local ones, just to help us with things that we're not thinking about, and we would love to have their perspective as we work together to kind of solve the child care crisis that we have. So who we are, this talks a little bit about our vision and our mission. We of course want to have a safe and welcoming environment that's developmentally appropriate for each of our kiddos to basically make a larger community-focused child care center. So if we move on to our timeline. So we have really been talking about this since January of 2019. So quite a few years now. This actually started from a Hillsborough Development Corporation and then the Hillsborough Community Foundation. They had a joint meeting together and invited various sectors from across Marion County, purely to discuss childcare and stating the fact that we cannot provide our services because we have a workforce shortage due to the limited childcare options that we have within the county. So since that time, we've made a lot of movement. Sometimes it doesn't feel like we've made a ton of progress, but we've made a lot of movement. We've been doing a lot of different things in order to build where we are at right now. So that first one was we established a child care committee. And within that, we analyzed the need. We researched a lot of what it would take to address childcare as a solution. So whether it be helping more local childcare providers get a license so they can be a in-home childcare provider. So a small, just family daycare. We looked at that quite a bit. We did a lot of surveys. And essentially we found that what we are needing is we are needing a center, purely for the fact because we are needing more infant and toddler slots within our county. When we're looking at Hillsborough and why we stated Hillsborough, and we'll get to that in a minute, but why we were looking at Hillsborough as a location was because Hillsborough right now has about they can have a maximum of 2 infant slots for the entire town of Hillsborough. That is just because of ratios wise and having only 1 current provider there within Hillsborough. And so that was one reason why we looked at that as a location. So as we kind of moved forward with this, we reached out to the Kansas Department of Health and Environment's KDHE, as well as the Child Care of Aware of Kansas, which is CCAKS, kind of explained on there, and asked them for some help so we can kind of research this and move a little bit further down in our journey. With that, in it was probably end of May of 2021, we established the Hillsborough Community Child Care Center and became a nonprofit. We are registered 501c3, and so that is exciting for us that we have that. Within this, we did conduct, if you go to the next slide, a community needs assessment, and that's what this last one is back here. And I won't go into great depth of it, but it was answered by 105 individuals in the county, and so that's a pretty good response rate when you're looking at surveys, especially one kind of targeted on one specific issue for needing childcare. One thing that I thought was kind of important, or when you're looking through it, what stood out most to us was that respondent feedback. Just a lot of them saying that we are not able to work because we don't have infant childcare. We don't feel comfortable staying here in town because we don't have childcare for our infants. We heard a lot of that within our survey, so we did try to pick out a few different ones on that respondent feedback, just to be able to showcase what they were able to comment and add on when we did this survey. If we move forward a little bit more, where are we at now? Where have we been? Where are we going? So we, of course, in the fall of last year, we reviewed the community needs assessment, and we started exploring what does a center look like for us. how could that really benefit Marion County as a whole? And that is when an opportunity fell into our lap, which is the Trinity Mennonite Church. They actually reached out to us and they said, we heard you're doing this special project. We heard that you're looking for a location for a child care center, and we would love to be a partner with you. And so with that, we met with them, and they are actually deeding over the church to us to be able to utilize it as a child care center and a community center. And so we will be able to, in this next couple months, we were waiting to get our 501c3, which we secured. We were able to take over that deed and then hopefully begin some renovations there. So with that, we had in January of 2022, we established our board of directors, and then we had our 501c3 approved. Within this, we went to a few different trainings and workshops. We've been applying for grants. And then, of course, we've been meeting with an architect to see what our next steps would look like and what those plans could look like. So you can go to the next slide there. With this too, like I said, we reached out to Child Care Aware of Kansas, and so that's what your last sheet, mine does not look very pretty, our printer did not like us today, but your other sheet here looks like this one. This one is a report from Child Care Aware of Kansas, and so they tell us how many children are needing care within Marion County. So right now, if you're looking at that third number, children under 6 years with all parents in the family labor force, that's 507 children. Right now, we're only meeting 32% of that, which equates to roughly 346 kiddos that currently do not have care. They're just out there with no care at all. But there's the potential that 507 of them would not have child care. So we can go to the next slide because I'll kind of wrap it within that. So essentially what we're doing here is we're wanting to have more discussions with businesses, which is what we've been doing. We actually just met beginning of August, we met with a lot of the business sectors across Marion County. That was held in the Hillsborough Mennonite, or the Trinity Mennonite Church there, and we just explained to them, we actually gave them this exact presentation. And we said, this is what we are doing. We want to invite you to listen to our plan and to be a part of our journey. And so with that, where we are going is we're hoping that our funding can be secured within it. And that should actually be January of 2023, that our funding can be secured there. And then we would like to move forward of having a director of identifying curriculum and all of those good things. Within that, when we're looking at funding, we'll jump to it here in a little bit, but Matt has actually been able to really work with us. We're looking at that community development block grant, which is a $600,000 matching grant. And so that's currently the big grant that we're kind of looking at and that we are working towards. Matt, do you want to say anything a little bit about that?
Yeah, it's a community development block grant, so it would run through the city, which all community development block grants have to. But this one goes through the city and then is awarded directly to the nonprofit child care center. It's a 25% match, so the $125,000 can be used to apply for it. You're a lot more competitive if you can match the full amount, if it's a 50-50. So $600,000 is kind of where we've targeted. The city's going to pay for the grant writer. We've hired Ransom Financial. I don't know if the county's used Ransom before in the past, but they've done a lot of great work for us at the city of Hillsborough, and so the city's going to pay for that as kind of one of our portions of this program. We know that there's going to be some more support that's going to be needed down the road, and so we're just trying to help get it off the ground with that. The grant will go in at the end of this year. It's actually due, I think, in February, but we'll probably try to get it in before the end of the year. Those announcements would come at the end of February, and then around the middle or end of March is when the grant funding would be awarded, if it is awarded. I would say that the Community Development Block Grant Program this year has a particular emphasis on child care at the state level, so we feel like we have a pretty good shot at getting it. So that's kind of the Community Development Block Grant in a nutshell.
Yes. Thank you, Matt. So if we go on, and I'm trying to fit a lot in here, but I just wanted to give you guys a general overview of kind of what we've been working on. So this is one of our very, very preliminary plans that we've received from our architect. We're working with a company, Charles Rins, out of Salina. And so this is one of the areas that we've looked at. Our hope is that we can have a center that's up to 99 children. Within that, it would be about 16 total staff members that we would be employing, so adding a little bit there. And with that, this of course would be a very rough draft, and I think we've even changed that a little bit since we met with the architect. We were able to meet with him last Wednesday. And so it just gives you a little general overview. Up here, we're kind of talking about this could potentially be our infant and toddler wing. And then down here could be our early preschool and preschool classrooms. So like I said, very, very rough plan, but gives you a little overview. The playgrounds would be over here on this side and then over here as well. Up in here would still be a kind of a foyer, the fellowship hall that they currently have, and then the kitchen. So there'd still be a space for gathering and to have just different events that we would be able to host. I'm going to go to the next one. This kind of whole partnership that we've developed with Trinity, we really want to focus on it being a Trinity Community Center, in addition to the Hillsborough Community Child Care. The Trinity Community Center, we're envisioning that space that I showed you in the slide before, that is actually a replica of what the basement looks like. So it is very large, it has a full basement space. So we were able to be offer this to like the Corps, they serve right now Everence, the Salvation Army, businesses and other organizations that might need office space or space where they're, like I know right now parents as teachers was a discussion, them having not as much space as what they could use. And so that could be an option where maybe they would want to come down and operate out of the basement and have a lot more space there. Maybe have some services offered there. So that's part of that Trinity Community Center where we want to open it to not just limit it to a child care center, but also a space for a community that could be needed. I'm going to go to the next one. So the estimated project cost is a lot. When we start looking at, and you really dive into what is a child care center, child care right now, I will tell you the business plan is flawed. There is not a great business plan for child care centers. You may have known that already, you may have heard me talk about it before, but it is flawed. So within that, essentially why it's flawed is the fact that they can't charge the cost that's needed to make a profit on it, to be able to operate like a profit business, because parents can't afford to pay that. And so, yes, that's why it's a flawed plan. So within that, we do have the estimated project cost. Again, this is an estimate. We're kind of looking at that $2 million range. And if you jump to that next slide, please. What we're looking at and what we met with the businesses about is a pledge campaign, essentially. So what we are hoping to do, and Matt shared a little bit about it already, is our first goal would be to raise that $600,000. If needed, we could raise, what was the initial price that we could raise?
125.
125. That would be the bare minimum that we would need to raise to get any matching from that community development block grant. But what we are wanting to do and what we are hopeful that we can do is reach that 600,000. Within that, we've actually met with several different businesses already who are very excited about this opportunity and how it could help their business, meaning that they could then invite new families to come, because right now they have interviews with individuals and they say, I love this job, but you guys don't have anywhere for my kiddos, so I can't come here. So this is an opportunity for them to recruit new families and new employees, essentially. So they're very hopeful for that. They're very excited about it when we met with that business meeting. And essentially today we're not asking for funding, we're just informing you of what is going on in the county and what's going on in our community. We really just wanted to showcase some of the things that we're working on, because I know it's been in the media lately. We did create like a social media page that you can follow along with updates on. But all these different things that we're working on just as a community-focused child care center. And so up here you can see a little bit of a breakdown of our desired funding that we have. Of course, the fundraising for the CDBG, and then the potential funding that we would receive from them as that matching grant. We also have a great relationship with the Hillsborough Community Foundation and the Central Kansas Foundation grant. So we're hopeful that we could get close to $100,000 there out of that. One would be a loan repayment program that they offer. Then we would still need an additional $700,000 in funding right now, is what we're looking at. But our first initial step is at $600,000 is what we're working towards. So we're hopeful that we can start getting there. That's our hope. But really, and you can go to the next slide, but really we just came here today just because we wanted to inform you of what's going on in our community. And if you hear anybody talking about it, you can have a little bit more information to share with them, or at least somebody to point them towards.
Well, thank you, Tristan.
Yeah.
Healthcare, or childcare.
Both.
Really, childcare,
yeah.
Housing has been over the years named as a number one concern, but really, at this point, childcare is,
Yeah.
Desperately
needed. It's desperately needed.
Yeah. It is.
So
Where's
this
the
is
church
very
located
exciting.
at?
The church, it's on the road to the VFW.
It's on Floral
North
Drive.
of the Legion.
and
It's north of the
Hillsborough.
Legion.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
And that street, okay.
Yep. It's been, the architect was really excited about it when we gave him a tour. He said it's really sound. It's good. It was built very good. Lots of exciting.
A lot of space in it.
Yeah, lots of space.
They're not an active organization.
The Trinity, so they have, they're essentially in the process of closing their church. And so their members have already voted to close it. That was done back in February, I believe, sometime, yeah. Mhm. Yep. So we've been having conversations with them that they're still able to meet there, and then whenever we're ready, they said that we could come in and just let them know when we're ready to start any renovations or anything like that, but we're letting them meet there until they don't want to meet there anymore. So
And you're taking ownership of it?
we will be taking ownership over it, yes.
So you can use that as part of your grant applications?
No, they don't let
Yeah.
you do the cost of the building on
Yeah.
that. Not for that, not for
Okay.
CBT.
Not for that one,
but
yeah.
There are some. that
You can
would.
pledge it someplace else, huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
Give it to the bank, huh?
It's quite interesting. I'm from the old school, and the old school is, well, I got a job here in this town, and I'm gonna go there, and that's the way it is. Kids
Yeah.
gonna go to school there, and not check things out like I probably
Yeah.
should have back when I was raising my kids and things. But not too long ago, within very close to me, a family was gonna get started, and they was making a decision where they wanted to put a house.
Mhm.
And no matter, regardless of where they was working,
Right.
but the things they thought of, number one was school.
Yeah.
And house and childcare.
Yeah.
Because they was gonna start a family. And
Yeah.
so, I'm listening to these youngsters, and, well, they're a lot smarter than I was.
Yeah.
So, I mean, just making those kind of decisions
Yeah.
before you start a family and things like
Yeah.
that. And
a
so,
lot.
I think that opens up a lot of opportunity for people to come to your city.
It does.
With something like this.
Yeah.
Already being established, it would just be a plus.
To our county.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
I mean,
Oh, yeah.
because people drive.
Yep.
Hey, there's-
Yeah.
there's
Oh,
not
I
gonna be
guess-
too many
It's all
people-
part of economic
Yeah,
development.
and I guess that's one thing that I did not mention, and I'm sorry I forgot to mention that, but there is Kids Connection in Hillsborough, and so when we would get up and running, they would transfer over to this center. Essentially, they're wanting to utilize the space that, they're short on space, that church is, Hillsborough MB is. And so they're wanting to utilize that space for more of their Sunday school classrooms and more of their different offerings that they have. But we would start then with at least 40-some kiddos. Day one, we'd be able to open with that many. Yes.
But the other towns, you can't afford to drive to Hillsborough and then drive to another town. to
But if
work.
they're working in Hillsborough.
If they're working
I
in
mean,
Hillsborough.
We do
yes.
have families right now in Marion that do drive to Hillsborough for
I mean-
childcare and then drive back.
Drive back, well, that's.
Yep.
Early in the morning,
Yeah.
there's lots of traffic going everywhere.
Yep.
today.
That's cool.
Yeah, well,
Well, thank
Like
you
I
so
said, I
much
have
for
a lot to
the,
give,
the work
but-
you done and your group has done
Good
to
luck.
put this together.
thank you, yeah. And thank you, we will keep you guys updated.
Yes, thank you for sharing.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, Joel,
All right.
thank you for making time to come in today.
Thank you.
Commissioner Becker and some of the other commissioners had some questions on the software proposal,
Yes.
because we are not all that tech savvy.
Nor am I. Nor am I. I always have somebody younger in the office, which is always helpful. I'm working more since I know what I am. I have a copy in.
Okay.
I'll give you one of mine as well. But essentially, it's so full case is what we currently have. We've talked about it before, that Odyssey is what the courts are using now. They don't interface. Full case is not. They're not getting in the prosecutor business anymore. They're doing their full case, which is the case management software for the courts. So there's really not anybody that's doing the case management software around here, at least that I'm aware of, other than this prosecutors like Cartel. So they're not going to be doing any updates any longer, meaning they're not updating any of our language for statutes or anything like that. So what this startup cost is, and then on the second page, it's $2,700 essentially for the licensing fee to keep it. That startup cost is to transfer all of our data into the Carpel system. And it also, along with being a case management system, I've talked about it before, is getting away from the paper and USBs and DVDs. This would all digitize everything. So when law enforcement could build their case, send it to us digitally, and then we can send that out electronically to the defense bar, whoever's on that case then. So that would save us not only time, but also money on buying USBs and doing that discovery process. It's not gonna be less than what we're, the $30,000 of the proposal is, but $2,700, we spend more on that than we do on full case currently. I think it's $1,400 per quarter, I think is what we pay for that one, somewhere around there. So it'd be a little bit cheaper than what we currently are paying after that initial startup cost. And so, I mean, it's really, I don't know of anything else that is out there, and that's something that we need in order to prosecute cases.
Does this create some other efficiencies within your office as far as freeing up people to work on other stuff? Or?
I think the discovery issue is the main thing, but other than that, no.
Does this help any between the officers putting their case together for you, or where's the tie here to them?
So they would be able to have essentially a user to be able to build the case there. It would be, we'd have to cooperate with law enforcement where they can put in their information, build a case there, and then send it to us electronically. They wouldn't have to print anything off or send it to us. And so that would be, I think it would be a struggle in the beginning for everybody, but just like transitioning anything. But I think in the end it would be the way that they showed it to us. Obviously he's trying to sell it to us, but it seemed like it would save time.
Is there any type of compatibility issue between?
It's nothing to do with their system.
Okay, so they can submit.
I don't know anything about it.
I just don't want it, be something they let.
You'd have a
sheriff's
monitor
office
over
say.
there, put in the use.
They just essentially log into it under
To your station.
our user agreement. Is something that they have to pay for or anything like that. It's not and it has, I don't remember what.
We have Clear, right?
Clear, and it doesn't have anything to do with Clear,
Which is
replacing
state
Clear or anything like that.
They have to put it in 2 places, right?
I don't know anything about what Joel's got here. I'm sure that if it's something he needs, we'll work around it.
And if they don't want to do it that way, they don't have to do it that way. They can still send it to us. We download it and then send it out
We're gonna work with Joel.
to the defense bar.
So is there
it's
secure storage on both sides?
So we do have
like
secure
when
storage.
you input your stuff, you store it
It's
on
in
your
my office.
server,
It's stored on our server, yes.
and then it comes to you, and how's it stored? Is that a separate, your
Through
own
their
server, a
system.
cloud, or what?
Yeah, through their system, and then we send it out digitally to, then the defense bar can log onto that and get it from them. And it's a multi-terabyte system that we can.
I know there's a lot of sensitive stuff, you wouldn't wanna lose anything.
Right, and it's all, I mean, there's multiple counties that use it. There's on the third page, essentially in our 8th Judicial District, we're the only one that doesn't use it currently.
Would it help you working with the counties?
No,
You
it
don't
doesn't have
need to-
anything to do with
okay.
that, no.
So for casework to get to my office, to his office, you guys understand, is we send a paper copy over to
Carry it
him. And then we have to have USB drives. I'm thinking with some of the cases, we're putting in 5 or 6 CDs and drives inside of the case and giving it to his office, and then they gotta take it and put it on their system. Because our system's completely different. They just don't jive together.
That's why I asked that question, because that's all I've ever seen is time between there and here, or cities and here, and it just seems like it could all flow to me.
And it doesn't, like bigger counties, I think, the way that this guy talked, that sold it to us, or selling it to us, can buy user agreements, but it's not, it wouldn't make any sense for Marion County to do it the way that bigger counties do it. And so just being able to go under our user, plug it in, plug that information in and send it to us. They could still send it, like I said, digital or paper copies to us. Then we just have to essentially scan it in, put it with this case, and send it to them.
So the 2,700 a year, is that the maintenance?
Yeah, that's for any of the updates for language, for statutes, and then just for the licensing agreement. And the way that he talked, he said about 9, so if you signed an agreement today, let's say, it'd be about 9 months, you gotta more likely probably about a year by the time that we would, from signing it to implementation.
Other questions? I think the question was raised about budget. Was it in your budget?
Was not in the budget. So I mean, I think I said 10,000 whenever I came in here originally. So it's more than that.
Yeah.
But I've consistently been under budget on my contractuals for the last 3 years by about 20,000 per year. He did say that we could pay some, like half of it now, half of it next year whenever we do implement it. So I think that would save on some costs of the initial year.
That was gonna be one of my questions, if you have to pay for it all up front.
The way that he said we'd be able to do it about half and half.
Okay. Cause that way that you'd have an opportunity to budget for the last half of it.
I mean, it is something that we need, that full case is going out, and
I would think we could, let's say 30,000, the county pick up the first 30 and him budget for the next year for the second 15. We pay the first 15 and you pick up 15 next year.
Well, he budgeted 10.
Oh, you've already got 10 in?
that's what I requested initially, but I think under our contractuals,
his budget's within the general fund.
I'm open to anything. I mean, that's, you've already got 10 going towards this already?
that was what I requested. I mean, I didn't have any idea what this was going to cost, or even if I even wanted this particular system.
Well, that don't change nothing. I mean, we can still pick up the first 15 and budget for the second 15 on, and of course, you've got a 2,700 annual cost, don't you?
Right, but I think we already paid for the full case.
That's already factored in.
Then you're looking at 32, so total, they're 29 something. Back here, 29.
So is this gonna make it easier to process more cases quicker? More convictions?
The discovery, I think, will free up some time in having to do that, burning the disc, doing all of that stuff. It would free up a little bit of time, but it's not gonna be like, it's not gonna free up all this time that we're gonna have.
Not gonna
a lot
double your
more
court time.
Not really. It'll free up staff time a little bit, I think, but not dramatically.
So what you're saying is basically what you're on now is obsolete, and this is
The next one.
this is the next generation.
Yeah, that's what it comes down to.
So I asked the guy, I go, so I go, who's your competitor? And I go, why do we want to go with you? And he said, currently, and that's what he told me, and I looked at it, and there's really nobody around here that's doing it. Like, there's some people out on the East Coast, that he goes, that I'm aware of, but there's nobody in the Midwest that's doing the prosecutor case management software.
I'd make a motion that we county fund the first, it looks like 29 and 30, something else, 29 and 27, or 29 and 3 and 2,700. Yeah, it looks like 32,000, what your total cost is.
Just the first year.
For the first year.
And I did ask him, so where can we save you some money? He goes, everything's a negotiation. I go, where can we save some money? He goes, with how many users that you're gonna have, the size of your department, because we take that into consideration with our proposal. And he goes, there's not really any pricing that I can save you on.
Okay, we have
Gotta
a
ask.
motion by Commissioner Dalkey to move forward with the software purchase.
And we pay for the first 16,000, and then he raises his budget for next year for another, he's gonna have to have another 16,000 for it. That'd be the second half.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Crowfoot. Discussion. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed say nay. Motion carried 5-0.
Okay, I need a little clarification, because when you say the county funds 16,000, I mean, what fund is that coming out of?
Sales tax.
Got an answer?
Yep.
And you got a
Just
software?
another line in the general
I
fund.
know, another line. That's what I would just left it. Anyway, that's it.
Is that appropriate to take it from sales tax? I'm just putting the question out there. I don't know.
It's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I don't think that this is,
It's all our sales tax allocation.
I don't think that, I think even if you budgeted or gave it a 32,000, I don't think that would even, it would put me close to over the contractuals of where I've been the last couple of years. But I don't think the 15,000 is going to put me over budget.
You can cover it with your savings on contractuals.
Right, I don't think that it's gonna push me over based on the last couple of years.
When you say contractual, what are those kind of items?
I think items like this, but a lot of those were special prosecution of where I think it was higher before I came in, was a big line item on the contractuals. But I mean, like the full case comes out of my contractuals. I'm trying to think of what else comes out of it.
Utilities come out of it, phone bills, any kind of services that the department utilizes. Like coroner calls, same sort type exam things come out.
Very good. I think we got that one.
Okay, well, thank you.
Does that work for you?
Yes, I think that should work. I will-
Again, appreciate you coming in, give us a little more background.
No, I appreciate the time. Thank you.
Understanding, so we're ready to move forward.
Anything else?
That's good.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Marcy. Hi, Marcy.
Hi there.
After whatever it is.
Did you have any business before we move into the executive session?
I did bring you guys, just in case, I got the question that what scenes does emergency management need to go to? And, this is what we currently have on file now of when 911 calls in, or for what.
Okay.
So. You already knew this, but.
We'll take your chance to.
You can have them all. But we had some, new deputies that mentioned to me that, well, I didn't know, I should probably call you for that. So, we're gonna update that information, make sure everything's accurate, and then send it out, so, just so that now.
When you say fires, that covers a lot of stuff.
Yeah, it's only, you'll notice on here, like, under this, if an EOC is not activated and fires, we're talking the big ones, like, and Jeff can tell you, I don't go to the little stuff. I go if we need the tanker, you know, or like if it's a structure fire and I gotta call Red Cross for the homeowner, then yes, I go, but when they exhaust the resources on scene, so like we're talking, big fires, like you need tanker 95 called in from the state. Well, you have to have a declaration, so we're calling you guys. And then 2, we have to go request the tinker. So those are the ones that you're talking, the fires.
In the past, I think it's been violated, and I think we need to make sure when we go for something worthwhile.
Yeah.
I mean, both our time as the emergency management and the people that's paying for the emergency management's time to, spend just so.
What do you mean violated? Like it's been used too often?
Do what?
Yeah. No, it goes to every house fire.
She hadn't changed it.
Well, house fires we're supposed to, because we have to notify.
Trash fires.
Yeah, we don't. Like I went to the garage fire that was in Hillsborough, but the reason why I left so soon is because the garage was not attached to the house. It was a detached garage. When it doesn't affect the actual structure of the home, that's not, Red Cross doesn't get involved with that one. There's no resources for that homeowner in that instance. So once we found that out, plus it was less than 10% of the structure and things like that. So once I found that out from the IC that was on the scene, I said, okay, the only thing left for me to do would be to roll hose, and Hillsborough said, no, we got it. Now Peabody said they would take me up on the rolling hose.
Any other questions from Marcy on the instance to respond? But thank you for the clarification. That's good. We always have questions.
Well, and that's why I figured that out. Then we all are getting the same thing.
That's perfect. Absolutely perfect. All right. I would move that we recess into executive session in order to discuss applications for emergency management director position pursuant to KSA 75-4319B, item 1, personnel matters of non-elected personnel performance, with Marcy, the commission, Brad, and Tina for, let's go 20 minutes. 2:07 to 2:27. Second by Commissioner Becker. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say
Aye.
nay. Motion carried 5-0. We will be back at 2:27.
This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, we are out of executive session. No decisions made. We're ready to move into Road and Bridge. Right on time.
Must have been a pretty rough meeting if she had to untie her shoes.
But Marcy was on time.
Okay. All right. A little bit of good news.
Good. Love it.
Fuel bids are coming down, so.
That's good.
Yes.
Zero inflation. We'll save more.
Okay, your recommendation on fuel?
Is yes.
All three of them.
I'll make a motion to approve the low bid from Epps, $28,277.
Motion from Commissioner Becker. Is there a second?
Second.
Second, Commissioner Dahlke. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion carried 5-0.
There was a little big eye that come out of
Yeah.
the screen up here, so.
It's no fun being out there in La La Land.
Yeah.
It is not.
The little bit of delay is just there, so. Okay. Sent out bids or a spreadsheet last week to local contract haulers to haul rock for us in a year. About 48 or 49,000 tons. So based on what they come back with, will be probably in the neighborhood of 900,000 to $1 million. So that was rock maps that come in from the guys, the section men, and any other people that called in. So
Okay, ballpark number of miles.
We had 11 sections, and we probably averaged 15 per section, somewhere in there. So roughly 200 miles. Somewhere in there.
That's a lot of miles.
It's a lot of miles, but You know, some of them, most of them went with 200 tons per mile, which is a lot. Some of them we actually went with 300, a little bit bigger, heavier traveled roads.
That's what I was hoping the heavier traveled roads are all getting hit.
So anyway, well, we'll see what, I gave them till the 26th to get those back in.
What does $1 million do to your budget?
We actually had 1.5 this year for that, because we knew it was gonna take more with the contract haul.
How much, what have we spent so far?
Like 250,000, something like that, so it wasn't a lot, but yeah, that's why I was, and of course, that's just looking at the numbers that the first people that submitted already, we've got the other three.
Yeah, right.
So, yeah, that's.
Well, and the application you said is October, put it down in October or September?
Through the end of October, like that down through by November 1st. I had one person say, well, what if we get all of them? And I said, if you get all of them, I'll look at extending that time, but that's an awful lot of, 40 work days and 43 loads a day.
So you broke up the bids in
It's every section. Said bid by section. The reason we did that is we want them to call the section man directly, let them know where they're dropping rock, and so the section man will know and then can follow up if he needs to.
Well, the argument that section men don't have any say, then this gives them some say.
Yeah, and like I said, we've been working on this for about 6 weeks to make sure we get them all in there and get as much as we can.
Also said it was working with your public requests, so like the tickler.
Yes, that's on
That's
it too.
plugged into it.
Most of the stuff on the tickler was already reported by the Blademan as well.
Sure.
You know, so, but hopefully we'll at least get.
Well, nice it wasn't put down in June. And
Well,
ground to,
yeah.
This whole summer was.
Yeah, this dry weather is just been rough on roads. You know, you can't do anything with them. You try to blade them, it's nothing but powder. And
Yeah.
they're just working together, so.
Yeah. Okay, very good.
Anyway,
Thank you.
That's there. Probably want to spend the rest of the time going over the information that I gave you last week on the projects. If you guys still have all that. Yes, no?
I got one.
Okay. If you had any chances to look at it, had any questions. I will tell you that I talked with Todd Halfrich, Bureau Chief of Local Projects, about the issues of bundling and everything else. He said, yes, they're still considering those, but he asked that we submit each project separately. But note that we'd like to have them together. He said that gives them a little bit of latitude, because obviously if they can give us money for one but not the other one, do that. So
I'll make some copies.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's this one.
Yep.
Okay. I thought I could left it here somewhere.
Okay.
We just don't get any paper in the meeting.
Well, I mean, we can give you paper, we can do electronic, whatever the case may be, so. Brad likes paper. Yeah. So. Especially lengthy papers that are very wordy.
Oh, I know where mine's at, in my office.
Yeah, you took it home to look at it, didn't you? Yeah.
So anyway, I guess I'll wait till everybody gets that, but we've got the three, well, actually 4 if you consider the economic development. That's kind of what I wanted to walk through you with. Between the cost share, the local bridge improvement, the off-system bridge. Did anybody have any questions about the resolution for that bridge that I gave you, closing that bridge? Okay. I mean, based on what Brad said, that legally says that that bridge is now on private property. So it's there.
This was the owner of the land get a certified letter saying he owns the bridge.
Doesn't you have to, based upon the public notice given in filings, but we can certainly do that as a courtesy.
Yeah.
It's not a requirement.
Well, I just hate, all of a sudden they
It's in the
pushed out and
paper.
say,
Yeah.
well, get out here and put a bridge in.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, dear.
Well, and yeah, that's like you said, and I don't know, like Brad said, if it was officially reported as a resolution and, they have access to that, whether they choose to get it or not, so.
You should have had notice at that time, but
Yeah.
we can
again,
certainly do that. That's not.
I think on something like that, absolutely.
Who needs one?
Yeah, we, I had Judy searching.
I have one. I thought I did.
Wow.
Tina makes her.
Thanks, Tina.
Killed another tree.
Yeah.
It's all right. Two of them now. It's all right.
Take one home, leave one here.
I mean, it should have followed through, but what, you know, like I said, Judy couldn't find anything else about it, so she started finding a bunch of other information that I told her on, and that basically was the discussion to close the bridge that we just redid down there between 160th and 170th. So anyway, so okay, if you have all this, we'll just start at the top. The cost share, which there should be a second page, or the second page talks about the cost share, you know, the hits, whatever else. The $1.5 million max from KDOT, so whatever project that we were to choose, obviously they're $1.5 million. Now, the other thing that Todd said, by doing that, breaking the projects up, he said, well, we could give you some money this year and then maybe some next year. However that would be, but again, that was just going by his recommendation. Doesn't say that we have to do it that way. I told him, I said, I've got these two bridges that are 3/4 of a mile apart. One of them's fracture critical. Yeah, you'd be crazy not to say that we would take both of them, you know, so, but they're like everybody else. So anyway, the 290th, I put it right below there that this was actually due September 15th, so we've got a little bit more time there. Several different projects we can look at. 290th, something to look at too is Sunflower Road. You know, it's starting to show some pretty severe signs. Overlay the full depth reclamation that we did last year, or just an overlay on Remington Road until we can figure out if or what's going to happen to Pilsen Road. So, and of course anything else. You know, the 290th is we have done, I think, pretty much everything imaginable trying to get money for that.
Yeah.
So,
and that's what, timing wise, I guess I would ask we do one more shot for the administration,
Okay.
or KDOT.
For the economic development.
Economic development
Okay.
and the cost share, because
Right.
the secretary committed to us that they were going to
Yeah.
come through.
Yeah.
Well, they've had 3 chances and they haven't come through. We'll
Yeah.
give them the 4th.
Okay.
And if it doesn't, then we have to go legislative route, January.
Now, one of the things I was looking at, along with the, whether it becomes the cost share or the economic development or whatever else is, we have 5 structures. Actually, we have 6 bridge structures along that route. The 2 of them that would be the biggest issue would be the one by Pawnee, and then the one by Produce.
Yeah, Urox.
Urox.
Yeah.
Both of
That's
those.
a narrow bridge.
Well, it's narrow because it's been hit and everything, but we always have flooding in both of those
Yes.
as well.
Yeah.
I don't know if the flooding is attributed to just way too much rain, or if it's a channel problem, or if it's the amount of opening underneath. So we could turn around and say part of that would be, we could go back and do a study on that to determine whether those 2 need to be replaced. You could lump those 2 together. I think they're like 2 miles apart, 4 miles apart, whatever they are. So you could do that. Again, is that my thought was on the economic development, in order to get more bang for the buck, is I try to find a spot. My thought was maybe from Remington or thereabouts east to get enough contracts, say for instance, a $3 million range. And then if we stayed with the 60-40 cost share, that would approximate $1.5 million for it. But anyway, again, I'm open to suggestions anyway you look at it. You know, the 3 out of those 5 or 6 structures are basically multi-cell reinforced concrete culverts, so that we could probably extend them past the clearance maybe another 5 to 10 feet either side. It's a relatively inexpensive way to do that and get rid of all the guardrail and stuff to that effect. So get them out of the clear zone for liability. So that would be nice too. So, but you know, those again depend on, I'm guessing probably between, I don't know, I would say maybe $50,000 to $100,000 a piece, depending on how much you have to do that. We'd have to probably buy some right of way, possibly utilities, but nothing major. But anyway, these are all things that I've thrown at you. I guess I'm asking for input on you guys. I like to see kind of consensus being stick with 290th, if that's what you want to do. I'll try to come up with something to maximize. Do you want to stay with the 60-40 split? I'm trying to remember on the cost share, it's a minimum of 15% from locals. We were at 40. So is it something, I hate to say this, but even at 40%, we're still not getting them. Is there
Well,
just
and
that?
that's just the one thing Commissioner Dalkey's kind of got into my head is at least 40%. I mean, even 50%, that's 50% you wouldn't have got.
Yeah.
But man, you know, if they could do 40, that gets us 60%.
Yeah. You know, it's one of the things,
That
whatever,
really helps.
you know, it's a tough sell, because the more you try to chip in locally, the less you get, therefore the farther the less your money goes, so.
But I don't think we got a chance at 15%, the way it's been going. I will say that.
Well, no, we've been going at 40, maybe we would at 15.
Yeah, I mean, like I
We
said.
have to be moving up some kind of.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's like you said, you would think KDOT would be getting to the point saying, you know what, we've pushed these guys off enough, maybe we should, I just, you know, but anyway.
Because that's gonna be a costly project anyway
Yeah.
to look at.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
What I was gonna follow up, you did say, I think it was last week, you said they're putting more money into the pot.
Yes, yeah.
So where in the past, there was only 10, 15 million?
I think most of them were at, I'm trying to remember that, one of them was only like, the local bridge improvement, I think was only 5 million, and they now upped it to 20. So
there's more money in the pot.
Yeah.
So they should be able to fund more projects.
Right.
But at the same time, are they gonna check the box, Marion County 1, 2, and 3 cost share programs?
Yeah.
But again, if they would spread it between 2 years,
Yeah.
I think that's where Bryce is trying to find sections of the road. If he can just get an award on a section of 290th, at least we can get.
Yeah, well, it's kind of the same thing with
The trouble is that you can't really say this section's worth some this.
Well,
Because
and yeah, and
it isn't.
what I was looking for was to try to find, for instance, like from Remington to Lincolnville, that would approximately be in that $3 million range. It would max that out. Then we could turn around. The west end coming off of K-15 is still a high-risk rural roads program that we could turn
Should
around.
be a higher priority.
And we turn around and resubmit it again. And so then that would basically mean if we divide it into thirds, would give us the middle third, but that's gonna be the most expensive portion, because that's where most of the structures are, the big structures.
But there, if you could get money through the structure program.
Which they're in the same boat there. They've got so many structures, and honestly, looking at the amount of traffic, and that, I think that opening is only a 20-foot bridge opening now. You'd think that'd be a huge pull, but I mean, I guess you guys have submitted that in the past as well. You know, so, but yeah, maybe now's the time.
The Pawnee Bridge, you mean?
Yes.
Yes.
By your office.
Yeah. So, but you know, again, last year we went in and cleaned out the underneath
great
and everything
job.
else, but I mean, we still had water.
Yeah.
We still had water over. So again, you just don't know about.
That road has 3 different locations. It's just pretty.
Yeah.
Pretty.
Well.
There's a lot of water.
Yeah,
A lot of water
and
going over it.
like down at Pawnee, Quail Creek, Quail Creek, and I've actually talked to the NRCS and everything else, and they basically said there's nothing you could do to keep the water in the channel. The ironic part about it is the structure on Quail Creek is actually 4 bigger cells than what the one on 290th is with 3 cells. These are like a 5x8, and those are like 8x10 or something like that. And there's 4 of those, and there's only 3 in here. So it's pretty obvious to see you can't force water out of a bigger structure into a smaller structure. Why that is, I have absolutely no idea, because it doesn't make any sense. But the only way would be to raise that road up way, way higher than it is, and you're talking millions of dollars. And then again, it's to say that it's just a bad spot. But so I guess any input on the stick with the 290th projects, or throwing their stuff out there? 290 or Sunflower is basically in the same shape the Indigo was 2 years ago, and that's what we've had to do. So
What about I mean, we know that the load in the last 3 months, the load on Sunflower down
Yes.
there, south of 140th, or south of 120th.
well, for the most part, it's been south of 110.
Yeah,
Now
south of
they-
110th,
Yeah.
okay.
Now they are approved up to 130th because of the side roads. But they're responsible for that. I mean, that's will all be taken care of to at least the standards that they started with.
But you can just see now that there's 3 or 4 spots right in there that's already, they're not up by where they're stopping to turn,
Right.
where we had to redo it. They're
Yep.
taking out just due to load
Yep.
of trucks.
And what they're facing is the same thing that they had south of 110th. It's deeper than where they were at. You know, but yeah, and that's, now with that being said, you know, obviously we're looking at next year, I'm guessing, before that would totally be redone or whatever else. So now that would be redone at least to 110th, if not to 130th, so they leave us 6 more miles into town. To do something.
That's
But
a little
anyway.
different way to look at it. I mean, if they pick
Is that the main route, or?
The coming in, yes.
That's the
Yeah.
main.
That, and the reason it's
Maybe
because.
they do it all for us.
Huh?
Maybe they do it all the way.
Well, you know.
Their office is here.
Yeah, they, that's something that, you know, we can discuss. But yeah, I mean, you look at the fact is if that is redone for those first 5 miles, another 6 into town.
There's getting to be a whole bunch of Nighthawk traffic.
Yep.
And up going north off of 50.
Sure.
And I'm watching that road pretty close because if it starts breaking up, well.
Yep. Well, honestly, I am too. And I'm glad to say that it's actually performing very well.
Doing good.
Yeah.
And
And so.
we haven't got the big
oil that's bleeding out.
We
Well, and
haven't got
that's-
the big cranes in yet, we haven't got the wings in, we haven't
Yeah.
got some of that stuff that's gonna turn,
Yeah.
and then the weight wise hasn't come yet.
Yeah,
We've got the rock weight
the
so far.
bleeding is all over the county, all over the state right now. You take these 105-degree days and you get those temperatures back up to 140, 150 on that roadway, and
Well, then you start hauling silage
Yeah.
on it.
yeah,
Or drop trucks. or
yeah, yeah.
heavy.
So
Well, I guess to bring back into focus, I'd like for the commission to make a commitment to the cost share applications so the engineer can proceed with those cost share applications.
And I guess the other thing is, I can figure up several different ways you want to go. Do you want to stick with the 60-40? What do you want to go with? Because that's going to be the deciding factor. If we want to try to get $1.5 million out of KDOT, what do we want to do as well?
You're talking one project for $1.5 million?
Well, the cost share that they're going to, for this year, they're giving $1.5 million max per project.
Yeah.
But we're looking at 3 different applications. One is the economic benefit.
Right.
One is, I just call it cost share.
Right.
And then the other one would be a bridge application.
Well, and again, if that's what you want to do, the other one is, do we wait till this, I don't know if it's coming this fall, or next year would be the high-risk rural roads.
Right.
To try to do the west portion again.
Well, and that would then be the 4th one.
Yeah.
Well, we gotta keep trying on 290th.
Yeah.
Because that's the only way we can tackle 290 is if we get the cost share.
And I guess, like I said, if you want to stick to the 60-40, I could come up with several different options that we could go with that would still use $1.5 million.
Ideas?
Whatever gives us the best chance.
I think you know,
I wish I knew.
if the commission will give the direction that that's the project to tackle, then I think you can massage the pieces in together for the application.
Yeah.
And again, we have to go into it knowing we may not get any of it, we may get all of it, or we may get part of it.
Well, that was my question, whether we go for one, whether you
Right.
shoot for 2 or 3 ways, or just go for one way. I mean, I'd like to see it however we could.
Yeah.
But I don't know what, are they gonna look at us and say, oh, look at these guys, they're trying 3 different ways.
But at the same time, he said there's an incentive for bundling.
Yes.
You know, if you can bundle out of different buckets to
Right.
have that construction in the same area, well,
Yeah.
it saves on mobilization costs.
Yeah.
So
And
everybody gets more bang for their buck there.
It'll help your unit costs and things like that. Now, there is that adage that we could submit 3 projects for the cost share, knowing that gives us 3 chances for 1 project. you know, if we got one of them as, you know, or two of them, or, you know, but I mean, that's, we're gonna have to piecemeal, I think, any way you look at it.
Well, I mean, if you submit for 3, you have to use it on 3 different projects, so don't you?
I guess I'm
I
not.
mean, you said you could submit for bundle.
Well, we could submit 3 projects. Said we
Separate-
could-
three
we'd love-
separate
3 separate
projects.
projects.
Right.
We would love to put these together, but if you can't do that, can we at least have one or 2? You know, and like I said, with the bundling.
Maybe that's a better route. to
That
go.
might be something to do.
Well, then, okay, what I'll do is I'll come up with something to come up with 3 projects or whatever else it is along there with an approximate value, knowing that KDOT's maximum 1.5. And then, do you want to stick to 60/40? Do you want to?
That was my first thought. I always
Do we
thought-
know what the awards have been in the past? Have they been at most of them 60/40, or we don't have?
No clue.
Nobody knows.
No clue.
Be nice to know how many 50/50s
yeah.
they did, or.
Yeah.
Well, and that's.
There's sort of got to be a list of it somewhere.
Well, and maybe vary some of, depending on your piece of your puzzle or the piece of your project. Maybe
Contingency sometimes.
maybe one's a 50/50, maybe one's a 60/40.
I told Todd that I said, well, you know, all we really need to do is I'll just put on here that Todd Halfrank told us that we need to submit this and they would get approved.
Well, and add on there the secretary.
And there was,
to make it happen.
there was a long pause and he said, yeah, I could see how you could say that. So, okay, well, I'll figure out some stuff there.
I think we at least got a consensus on the project.
Okay.
To focus on.
We basically still have a month left for that, so we have a little extra time for those.
And you can use the previous letters of support for each of them.
If not more. Yeah, we can work on that. So, like I said, the cost share, we got a month, so that gives us a little more time.
Okay.
The other 2, obviously, the pressing, the local bridge improvement program, I made my recommendations for Bridge 29 and Bridge 30. They are at 300th and Mustang and 310th and Mustang. The one on 310th west of Mustang is a fracture critical. So that would only leave us 1 left, fracture critical. So, no, on 310th west of Mustang.
Yeah, it's on 310.
Yep. It's a real narrow bridge down there. So if we could put both of those together, and again, we could submit them separately, estimated 400,000 for both of them, but I mean, we could submit them separately, but then say, hey, we want to put them together. I think it'd be great to get them together. But again, the other thing with this program is if we go with both of them and we can use that $72,000 credit for that 253 that's been closed, that's a huge benefit to us as well. So, but again, if there's any other bridges that you guys would want to do, I mean, we've got lots of them out there. I'm just trying to hit the worst ones and obviously the fracture critical.
Yeah, get rid of the fracture critical.
Yeah.
Does that 300 or 310th have anything to do with the crowd that's been in here the last year?
Not that I know of.
Okay.
I'm
trying to
You
focus
mean further
north, maybe that's over
No,
the
it's-
Chisholm. Okay, it's not the
it's
same.
Chisholm.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's
I'm trying to get focused on where I'm at, where I'm trying to do.
No, these are both basically farm roads. They're both dirt, but yet, the one west of Mustang on 310th, you kind of go down, you do a little snake curve over the top, but it's only 14 feet wide. That's the fracture critical one.
It's really more in prime farm ground. The ones you were out there, they were more wild.
Yeah. And both of them have obviously been continuously overtopped and everything else. So going with a more of a new technology bridge, I think we can raise them up and maybe increase our opening underneath, so therefore they handle more water as well.
Commission consensus to proceed with those 2.
Those are kind that the tanks won't work.
No, the size wise, the biggest problem is they're not deep enough channels. Right now, I think we had like 5 and 6 foot clearance underneath them, where those tanks would go. Wish those tanks would be
Where's
10
the other
foot.
fracture critical?
What's that, Jonah?
Go ahead.
Yeah, which bridge is the other fracture critical?
The one east of K-15 on 340th. On that road we had talked about closing.
Okay.
Yeah.
But there's walk-in hunting there.
Well,
So
These-
I mean,
these-
it looks like it's closed now.
Well, you know,
if you've
it's-
got any common sense, you won't drive.
Yeah, but, you know, like I said, these other ones are obviously, much more well-traveled, especially with
Yes.
heavier
Yeah,
traffic.
the two you're recommending get a lot of traffic.
Yeah, so,
Okay. Any objections from the commission? Okay, proceed with.
okay, that's it. Then the off-system bridge program, I'd like to recommend that we do, it's the bridge, north of 120th on Pawnee. You drive down there, Pawnee obviously is a major north-south road. You go kind of a little S-curve to get to it, then you do a little S-curve coming out of it. The bridge has terrible rails on it, it's been hit numerous times, you can't see it approach or exit. So I think it'd be a good choice. And it's only got a 20-foot opening, and obviously being on the skew, that's part of the reason why it's been hit so many times.
If it was relayed, would it be straightened out, you think?
I think it would be straighter, and the reason I think it would be straighter is because it would be longer. They kind of, it's only 66 feet long now, but they built it that way because at the time, it fit the channel. The shorter you make it, the less expensive it is. But obviously with that area, there's a lot of erosion and stuff in and around that area, so. And that's the whole point of the system is too, is when you tear it down, is you make improvements to where.
This is on a highly traveled Pawnee
Yeah.
going into Albany.
Yeah.
Mile and a half, what, mile and a half?
About a mile and a half, yeah.
Almost 2 miles
Yeah.
south
Yeah.
of
It's on the Catlin Creek.
Catlin Creek,
Yep.
yes,
Yep.
Jonah, yeah.
So, and it is poor condition, so I mean, it's up there. It's not the worst one we have, but it is there. So.
That's Fracture Creek Bridge?
That is not.
That is not, no.
Again, the only two we have left are the one on,
Yeah.
310th and then 340th.
Okay.
So, but anyway, any objection to that? I mean, I could come up with numerous ones. With this program, I'm trying to remember what the cost share was.
Commissioner Dalkey, you'd agree that that's the bridge we need?
Yes, it's definitely needed. I can tell you a story after we get done talking.
Yeah, yeah, and they, I mean, and it's, part of the other thing I was looking at too is on the off-system bridge project is, this is actually up to $2 million per project.
Wow.
So this would be the one that we could put those bridges in on 290th as well. With that kind of money, that would cover an awful lot of work out there. So I think what I'll do is I'll just come up with numbers for all that stuff, kind of throw them together, and we can mix and match whatever else, determining what we want for those projects.
Well, at least we've got commission consensus on the projects to focus on.
Okay, and then I'll work the same thing in with the economic development, seeing if we can't get another $1 million out of that. It'd be nice to kind of turn them all in at the same time and say, okay, guys, here's our package. You know, yeah, but you know, they're going to do like everybody else. But you know, being on the KCHA board, we actually have Todd. He's a member there, so we got an awful lot of information ahead of time. And he said that was the biggest thing, is there's a lot more money. There's more money being put out there now, so there'll be more projects done. But they obviously want to use the money as efficient as they can, as far as the bundling or whatever else.
Right.
So, so anyway, that's all I kind of had, other than the new computer program, which I don't know if they're out there.
Yeah, they are.
Okay, that we can go over that. I think that's a very exciting thing. I actually had some things with him. Yeah.
We'd like to have a 15-minute executive session, and then we can come into the.
Okay, I was just gonna say, do you wanna do it now, or do you wanna do it when they're done? Because I actually had one, was it the same thing?
I think so.
The position description?
Oh, yeah, no.
Okay, so it's something different. So I actually had something as well, but it's up to you guys.
What works better? I mean,
Let's do it after so they can do the presentation and get back to work.
okay,
Yeah,
very good.
yeah, let's do that.
That's
Okay.
Mine's sitting in the home.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very good.
Okay.
Thank you,
Dave. I believe you got copies of all this stuff
Yes.
that they had sent you. You know, obviously, we've been talking about ways to improve efficiency and tracking and stuff like that. I must give these two credit. They have done a tremendous job of going out and searching programs and stuff that are out there, and have numerous online meetings with people. Have spent an awful lot of time checking with other people as myself as to come up with ways that are these programs. Like I said, I am all for it. We've spent an awful lot of time talking about it, but honestly, I would like to turn it over to these two to kind of give you a walk through this whole program, and then we'll definitely answer any questions. I'm hoping that we've done enough information that handles most of the questions. As well you too, Jonah, if you have any questions. So anyway, I will turn it over to them, and then.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Well, I'm gonna have you switch. So do you have the microphone to Jonah can hear you better?
Okay. And there, you can put 2 chairs over there, there's enough room.
We expanded the desk.
They look better on camera anyway than me, so.
Amen.
All right, Katie, Vicki.
Thank you, guys.
So I do have, I know I emailed you a separate
Yes.
updated cost. I do have another, you can just disregard the one in your packet and
Okay.
the revised one I sent you, because I found out that the equipment that we had on that revised one doesn't support the program, so it's not even worth looking at if it can't support it.
Yep.
So, you'll see this is the updated cost breakdown of that. And thank you guys for just letting us come and talk with you.
We're
And,
excited.
I got overzealous creating this packet, as you can tell, like 34 pages is a lot to go through, so, thank you guys. So.
Do we have enough overtime for that? Okay, go ahead.
So, basically, since I started here, it's been about creating more efficiency in the road and bridge department, as well as communicating effectively with the county residents. So between those two, as I started working with the program that we currently have, I noticed that it was pretty ineffectual, and there was a lot of older technology that just wasn't being supported, and knowing that there's a lot better programs out there. That's kind of what started the search.
Okay.
So we had a lot of factors that we were looking for, and we weren't going to, I guess, budge on any of them. So you can see those factors at the beginning on that first page. The key ones were organizing the complaints from the public, as well as how do we get the information from the blademan to us as soon as possible. And then we also wanted something that was FEMA supported, something where it, I mean, you guys, I wasn't here for 2019, but you guys know the hours that went into documenting and photocopying and trying to get all of that set up so that you guys could get the FEMA support from the federal. So that was another one that we really wanted to, I guess, we wanted whatever program to be supported for FEMA documents. So the next few pages are just basically what the program is that we have now. It's called STAR program. And this daily report that you see is what every crew member fills out. Sometimes they get to me daily, sometimes they don't get to me until the following week, just depending on how far north they are. And so we spend a day going around and collecting these so that we can fill them and input them all into the STAR system we have now. So again, one of those things of how do we get the information from them faster to us? Because we have calls from the public, hey, can you come blade my road? I'll call the blademan, I bladed it yesterday. I call the constituent back, when was the last time you were on that road? Oh, it was last week. Okay, well, they've already bladed it. So to have that information faster so that we can tell them, hey, it's been done, it was done 2 hours ago, you know, those kind of updates. And these next steps, these are the steps 1 through 5. There are the different screens that we have to go through in order to input those daily. Again, it's one of those things, this STAR program is created through a program called Microsoft Access. And it was very good back in the early 2000s. This program hasn't been updated since 2007.
Wow.
So
It's outdated.
yes, it is very outdated. So this is just the steps that we go through to enter all of, and we have to do this for every single day for every single blademan. There's a step 5, and it's called allocate costs to location. This pretty much adds up the labor, the equipment costs, and all of that throughout the day. If they don't have a location, and you're like, how does a crew member not have a location? Well, if they're just, say they're organizing the rock at the South Shop. They're at the South Shop, but they're not anywhere in the county. So we don't have a location of South Shop because all of our roads in the system are mile-long locations. So that total gets skewed on our reports because it wasn't a cost allocated for that day. Does that make sense? So the equipment that they used at the South Shop doesn't get totaled for a daily total cost of what the department has used towards that labor, towards that equipment, and so towards the fuel cost. So these are just some of the things that we're just going through. We have a rock ledger, and that is also just an Excel document that we don't have, it's not in the program. So these extra Excel documents, they're just different pieces that are not integrated with what STAR program can do for us. So when you request a report, when Bryce requests a report of how much, I know someone had asked, how much rock have we used this year? It would be great to be able to say, yes, in STAR, this is how much we've used, this is where it's gone, this is who, but STAR program doesn't have that. So we've created an Excel document that keeps track of all of that, and it's hundreds of pages long and hundreds of lines long. So again, one of those ineffectual things, it worked while we were doing it, but to be able to get something a little more cohesive is what we're looking for. And then the infamous tickler file. This is what everyone has been talking about since I got here. So that again is just...
I'm the one that requested that. How many years ago was that?
Got a few.
5 years ago.
That is another Excel document that's been created when someone calls in. The Kiara answers the phone, we log their location, what the problem is, who it was that's calling in, the date they called in, and then we put our initials next to it in case anyone has any questions, they can contact us. Right now on this one, we are down to line, looks like 1,658. So if you just scroll up, you can go back to when they created the tickler file. But the problem with this is that they can mark done, but we don't know the exact date it got done. We don't know any work that got done on it. And there's no way to contact the people that called it in. It's just done. So those are some of the things as to what we notice as to why we need the change. And Vicki is the one that actually found the program that we demoed and the one that we are recommending to you guys. A couple things of STAR that I commend the 2 ladies that founded this program. They saw a need and they filled it. There are only 2 women that are customer service and support. One lives in Alabama, and a very real conversation we had is I said, I have a problem. She goes, let me call you back. I'm out feeding my daughter's sheep. So there's the business aspect of it is what happens to one of those 2 ladies? What happens to our support? What happens to STAR program if anything happens to them? Whether it be an accident or, they just want to retire. So another thing was the updates. Again, I said there are no updates since 2007. If there's anything that we do need to fix, we have to send it through Dropbox to them, and they have to send it back through Dropbox to us. Lloyd has to go through it, and then they call us and walk us through how to reinstall everything on our computer.
This is STAR.
This is STARS.
Yeah.
Yep. So there are no automatic updates. There's no real customer support for that. The 3 companies that we looked into, one was iWorks. They were great. We loved what they presented. Their demo was fantastic. They were not very cost effective. We had a very limited budget that we wanted to work within, and they pretty much said it's $10,000 a year for the program. There was another one called CityWorks. We didn't like them at all. Like their wasn't user friendly, and then they ballparked us 30 grand to get started. So we were like, nah, you guys, we're not gonna mesh. Our choice was for PubWorks, which is a road and bridge software application. It actually serves Lyon County, Riley County, Neosho County, Dickinson County, Lynn, Potawatomi, Reno, Leavenworth, Bourbon. There's Jackson County, Missouri, as well as a couple cities in Kansas.
Wow.
So they are popular in Kansas, and they're knowledgeable about the transition from STAR into their system, which is one of the services they offer. They will take all of our existing information and completely transfer it into their system. So, and they met all of our other key factors and financial requirements.
Thank you for what you've done so far. Keep these guys informed, and Jonah's on the other end.
Okay.
I've got to make a meeting in Newton, so I'm gonna leave.
Okay.
See y'all later.
All right. Thank you.
Don't forget your gift.
You pick one? I bet if she'd have brought cake, you'd have stayed.
Oh, I love it.
Chocolate only.
Yeah. Next time.
I'll take the leftover, whatever you leave me.
Thank you, Randy.
Yeah.
So PubWorks has two software applications. Okay. One is with a mobile application and one is without.
Okay.
And that is pretty much the only difference between the two is the mobile. The next few pages that you see, they just show you what the program does for the office and the crew. But it's just to give you a highlight of this page here. It's the asset management and job costing software page. The one page, it takes away steps 1 through 5, as well as the contractors, the equipment cost, and the rock paper. So all of the 3 Excel documents on one page.
Nice.
Does the custom truckers have access to programs that they can fill out
Yes.
daily?
Yes. Yep. So our contract haulers, we can give them limited access, and they would only be able to fill out this page. They would be able to, and we would have it preset to what their hauling contract or their hauling cost is, as well as the rock would all be preset values. So all they would have to do is put in the location and how many tons they hauled.
And they wouldn't have to send you an invoice in.
They would probably still have to send
You
an
could bill
invoice,
off
but
that.
we could go off
But
of
we
this.
can match our invoices
Yeah.
with what they're
With
hauling.
what actually happened.
Yes. The next page is the constituent complaints. So this is the service request module, which is what we're very excited about. This is going to, when someone calls in, we can get the exact date the service request was completed. We can instantly assign that to the blademan out in that area, so they will instantly know, okay, someone has called in, there's a problem in my section. We can assign a priority to it. And then if there's any more detailed notes about the road issues, that all can go in there as well. The great thing about this is that if we grab their email address, they can go online and they can put in their email address, and any service request or complaint that they've had, they can look up the status of the notes, any photographs of, if a blademan went out there and said, okay, this is a really large tree across the road, snaps a picture of it, they can look at what the blademen have done that's been documented. So,
Can you notify them back when it's completed?
yes, as soon as anything changes on their service request, it automatically sends an email back to them. There is also a spot down here at the very bottom, and it keeps track of all of the dates, times, notes, and their contact information. So if we try to contact them and we leave a voicemail, we can say, we called you at this time, left a voicemail. So when people call back and say, hey, I haven't heard anything, we can have a log of, these are the many times that we've tried to contact you. So,
You'd have customer notes in.
yes, yes. When for the constituent complaints for the service requests, they automatically go into a log. They're automatically prioritized, whether they're open or closed. You can see if the request was made online or if it was called in. And then, like I said, an email will be sent to that person when any change has been made to their service request. It'll automatically get sent. They can also be grouped by priority section, your districts, or issues, whether they need gravel, whether it's potholes, whether it's trees. All of that can be grouped together. And all of that is viewed by the administration side. So all of those images, that is what we would be able to see on a daily basis in our computers. Now this is all cloud-based, so if one of the guys out, like if someone had a laptop with them and had a hotspot or was able to log onto their laptop, they would be able to see all of the service requests, all of the work done. So any of the supervisors out there would be able to log onto a laptop and see all of that as well.
Katie, did you say that the constituents can actually go online and mark their own spots as well?
Yes, so there is when you go to the, this page here, when they go online, they can do an online service request. So they can put in their name, email, their phone number, address, and then a description, and that will also bring up a map. So it'll bring up if it's in front of their house, it'll bring up their address and a map of where it is. If they need to move it, say it's down the road half mile, they can move that so that it actually goes to where the spot is that the issue is. So a lot less of like, where was that at? Like, I'm driving this mile of road, someone has said that we need sand or rock and I just can't seem to find the spot. Now it's more exact. Now that would be done still if we went without the mobile application, which we're not necessarily recommending. All that would still be put in at the office, so we wouldn't have that instant access. So this is the part that we're really excited about, is the mobile part of it. And that's where blademen or crewmen in the field, they have, as long as they have connectivity, they would have instant access to any service requests, any updates, any work that they've done. They would be able to send it back to the office instantly. So it's just an app on their device, and it allows them to enter their daily information, service requests in their sections. They can attach photos. They can use their GPS to drop a pin and pinpoint any work that they've done. If they're working on a culvert, they can drop a pin there, label it, and we know exactly where they've been. Now this mobile application is optimized to a 7-inch tablet. So they can do it on a smartphone, but they've also got a mini tablet that it's optimized to, as long as it's a 7-inch screen. Again, you got an image there of what it looks like, the service requests, the work that they can do. So that's what these next few pages are, just to show you how simple it is. I know there was last week Commissioner Dolke was like, how difficult is it going to be? And I know it's a concern for everyone. It was a concern of ours too, and we asked them, okay, we've got older crew members. How easy is it to learn this system? And it's drop down buttons and click, and it's I've been playing with a demo app for the last couple days, and it's very click a button and there you are, and it's just touch and shoot. So
once the application is loaded onto the device, does it require a username and password every time to get on it?
No. So once it's loaded onto, it will be specific to that crew member. So
But you're gonna have a password to open up your machine.
To open up the app, yeah, they'll log in with their own unique username and password.
Right.
But they shouldn't have to log in every time.
Yeah.
You can't pick up the phone and use it.
Yeah.
Well, that was my concern. How many people around the county is gonna load an application and.
Well.
This is only for the crew,
Right.
and then also, because we asked them that, I said, okay, what happens if we have a crew member that leaves us for a different position or somewhere else? We
Cancel.
have the ability to lock down. They don't ask, no, they
Yeah.
can't access anything.
Yeah.
We also have the ability, when they're on the mobile app, they don't get access to everything.
Mm-hmm.
We can say, okay, you're only a truck driver, you don't need access to the Blademan roads or whatever. So you can customize it to the position that they work, as well as, for the tablets, we can customize it to, they can only open the app. They can't get on Facebook or Netflix or whatever.
Good.
Yeah.
They're only using the data for the app.
Yeah.
And the program is made for offline use. So if they are in a dead zone,
Which there's a lot of those.
which there's a lot of those, it will continue to store all their information. As soon as they get back to connectivity, they hit a refresh button, everything that they've worked on sends to us at the, at the main hub, and any service requests go back to their. So there's that exchange of information, but it's not constantly using data the entire time they're using it.
The other thing I wanted to, when you were talking about using those, they could go out and they could just hit a pin, take pictures. That's what we're talking about, FEMA stuff. Perfect, right there.
Yeah, 'cause you need that.
There's a pin, there's a picture, there's a description, that's it.
That's what they need.
So I mean, that's great.
Yeah.
And each one of these tablets, I think should go onto that, actually is able to be used as a phone as well. So we have the ability to that, so we'll just let it.
So that's the mobile application. In Publix, you'll see that we've also got a fleet maintenance software, which is gonna do all of our shop, preventative maintenance. It's got, date and odometer readings, labor and cards, fuel systems integration. So, I mean, we wanna integrate it with Ecos, we have the ability to do that. So there's a lot of different, benefits. Then we also have the GIS map viewer software, which is one of the things that we really wanted. We wanted to be able to bring up a map and say, this is what's been graded. This is what's been worked on.
Yes.
This is where rock has been dropped.
Yes.
This is the date, this is the person, this is how much. And so they have that software where we can, it allows the crews to logistically organize their days according to their routes. And then you can do job costing from a map. You can also do map work orders where if they just click on a map and say, I'm here, this is what I've done in this spot, and then service requests, like I showed you. Our crewmen can view service requests on the map, and our constituents can look at the map and pinpoint and, where their complaint is, so. Yep, and so then from there on, that's really what the program is. Everything else, we've talked to the testimony, we got the testimony from Lyon County in there. They had an older crew, we'd asked them specifically, and they said the older guys, they wouldn't go back to paper. I mean, they grumbled a little bit, but once they got it, and they love it,
So the blade men already, have they looked at this?
We have not, and that's, we've, again, these two especially have really been going through that fine stuff, finding out just how simple it is to work with.
Yeah, I just wanted to know how accepting they're gonna be.
We've talked to a few,
Yeah.
and some of them seem pretty positive about it. There's about one or two that are kind of like, I don't know.
But I think that it will be very beneficial in the end because it will be so much easier to take care of
Oh, yeah,
it.
it's just, it's a mindset,
Sure.
Some
But-
people's mindsets don't change.
But
We're hoping pie helps that.
Yeah.
We got pie. We're hoping they'll be more willing to change.
Or chocolate cake. One of the things that I liked about it was the service calls. They can go out and check on something, say it's something, oh, there's a culvert collapsing, and they get out to where it was, it's like, it's not that big a deal. They can actually take a picture.
Yes.
And was it deleted or dismiss it? What was it?
They can deny.
Deny it.
They can deny the service request, but they have to put a reason why.
Yes. Yeah.
And
So I said, I don't want to just go deny.
nothing gets deleted in the service request. So if someone says, hey, I said this, I got an email back saying they denied it. We can always go back and look.
That's what, to me, so much of it today with the camera, if they can just snap a picture of it, that
tells so
tells me
much more.
so much.
I don't know how many times.
And again, the part of what we're looking at here, this is all inclusive. Right now, we have the flip phones. They take a picture, they may have 30, 40 pictures. It takes us hours to download them or text them or whatever. It's a tremendous burden.
Yes.
So,
Ken, on your question of the older generation, I think 5 years ago, we went to the cloud. And we found that the people 50 and older caught on quicker than the 20 to 30, because they tried to overdo it.
Yeah.
But the older people took to it quicker.
Yeah.
Well, my only concern was we're short-staffed. I don't want to lose anybody over technology.
Now, once they start using, I mean, we've been on the cloud for 5 years and nobody ever go back.
Well, and there are programs that are difficult, I don't care how tech savvy you are, but if you found a program that's user-friendly, then that's the best
But
in the world.
this is customer friendly.
Customer friendly.
I mean, it
Correct.
reaches out, Tina could probably say, we probably reach out and touch her too many times, and she gets touched 3 or 4 times for every order. She gets emails from our office giving you where stuff's at. And this would do the same thing, it sounds like. They'll keep them updated. We're on our way, we've been there, we're gone.
The biggest thing that I like about this is that that the follow through with all that stuff is there and all inclusive.
Well, that's just it. You know, the old tickler. I mean,
Well,
the information's there, but how do you actually utilize it effectively? Because there's no it wasn't tracking things.
I will tell you that one of the guys I talked to as the operation manager is a peer of mine at Raleigh County, and he said he loves it. He has to go in there sometimes and work with 100 service requests that come in per day. And he goes, I even do it at home. He said, I come in and go, okay, this is this, this is this, this is this. So he's done, and by sending it out that night, his supervisors can go either that night or that morning, hit upload or refresh. There's his duty for the next day. So, it's great. So.
Can you do follow-ups, that you put a date that you need to check on this in a week?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
So that remind you that you got Joe, hey Joe, why didn't you do this yet?
Yes, so
Okay.
in the service request log, you can add a time or a date.
For you to check on.
For us to check on it, a date that we'd like it to be completed, if it's a bigger project. So there's all these target dates of when it's been open, when it's been closed, when it's been checked on.
Follow up.
Yep.
Okay.
So, if you get to your paper that I handed you. So this is the updated cost breakdown. We disregarded the first one within your packet because it was an iPad and it was just too big. So with this one here, after talking with our Verizon rep, they recommended a mini tablet, which this I brought from home is my Kindle Fire, but this is the same size as if you flip the page. This is that Orbic Tab 8. So it is the same size. Like I said, we originally thought if we had a tablet, we'd have to keep the flip phones. But after talking with Verizon, she said there is a workaround so that this can be their phone, so they can receive and send calls, text messages, as well as use their
Why did I make it
software.
to an iPhone, it's smaller?
So
It
the,
fit in your pocket.
yep, so with a phone, so this is the same size as the phones in your packet. This is a normal standard non-iPhone.
Brand X.
So, yes. And so the program itself, because it's optimized to a 7-inch screen, we thought the guys would want something that they can see all the words. It's got a bigger screen where they can push the buttons a little bit better. If you see here,
Yeah, where do you store that at?
so we would get, see how it's
Yeah.
kind of like, it
Yeah.
kind of bumps it to the next line. It doesn't, you can't read all of it.
A lot of the questions I think will be addressed in the more information. There's a little bit more that will discuss that.
But-
So-
To get us.
Yeah, it's a great question,
A
because
good
we thought
case
about
of-
that too, because,
Yeah.
you know,
In the
what do we
program-
do with this? This can't fit in your pocket, this can't, you know, you can't just, what do you do with something that's
Gotta have
big?
a holder in the vehicle.
So, yeah, with the program itself, so with the mobile application, it, you can see here, the startup is $17,245. And, these particular Orbic tablets, those cost, $199 each, so it was for 25 tablets. This is all going off of a 25 tablet purchase for our crew members. You're looking at $4,999.75. That accessories line, if you go over to the side here, you'll see, yes, we're taking into account a protected case, a screen protector, and some kind of mounting system for inside the graders only. After talking with the truck drivers, they said they just set it on the seat beside them. Like, we're talking a very heavy duty case that will sustain.
We fit the cup holder.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they've got those mounting tablets, or you can set it and put
Tho-
your cup holder and it'll do what it needs to do.
Yeah, those are all things that
Yep.
we've worked on, but it's the premise of the whole program, so.
Yep. So, the STAR program that we have, we currently pay $4,000 for that a year. And then our Verizon bill currently is about $1,100. And so with this, we wanted to keep it within that same yearly, monthly kind of range, which is why that $10,000 company, we're like, oh, this isn't gonna go well. So with the mobile application, you're looking at $4,449 a year, and then a Verizon bill of $1,141. So the tablet is cost, I mean, it's comparative to what we're paying now, other than the initial startup to actually purchase the equipment, purchase the protective gear for it, and the mounting systems. This comes with 2.5 days of training. The trainer that they have in this area still lives in Potawatomi County. She worked for them for 9 years before she went to Pub Works in the Road and Bridge Department. So she is.
Don't you have a thing?
I do have, they're in your packet.
Okay.
There is a snapshot of her little bio here. She was working for Potawatomi County in 2019 when they had to go through the floods. And she said, this program versus their other program in 2017, she goes, they were ready to file before they officially declared it an emergency.
Wow.
So she said it was a fraction of the time and a heck of a lot easier. So, they'll get 2 days of designated training for the office to run the software part of it, and then a half day of training for the mobile. So, but like I said, it's very simple to pick up.
The other thing that carries on with that, myself, Steve, and Lori Beck all have smartphones. We will be able to use our smartphones with this program, so we will not need to get anything else. The rest of the guys would get the tablets, so.
You need an iPad for home, so when you.
Well, we do it on laptop.
You sit there and watch TV, you can.
Is that what it is? You can do it on laptop or whatever else, so, yeah.
You're amazed what you get done during commercials.
So, like I said, there's, with the tablet only, we wouldn't be able to do it with a smartphone, but with the tablet, we can lock out every other application. So if we only want to give them the weather, this Public Works app, and their calling app, then we've locked out Netflix, Facebook, we can lock out their hotspots so they can't share their data with their kids or, you know, anything like that.
And get Channel 12 weather or some alerts or.
Yeah. So, other than that, like I said, our recommendation is to go with the tablets and the mobile app because it makes the most sense to us. And just to recap, the service requests, they're not falling between the cracks with this program. They provide better feedback to those who've made a request. We've got better information at our fingertips and just better accuracy with what's going on.
What's the turnaround to get this
get it.
implemented?
So as soon as we get approval, 60 days.
60 days.
Yep.
And a lot of that is going to be basically the administration to get those ordered, to get them downloaded, to get them set up for the guys. Obviously, the half day of training for the guys, but I've said, well, maybe there's a beta version or a tutorial or something where we could walk these guys through the program without actually doing anything on the program. So we've worked on that as well.
Sure there is.
And there is a page, what's next, so after we get the approval, a lot of it is on their end, taking all of our STAR data
All the data
and
transfer.
converting it over to theirs.
Yep.
And so that's a lot of what it is. Once they receive the data, they'll send us kind of like a beta version where we can familiarize ourselves with the program before they even come and train us.
Can you communicate like email or instant messaging with the individual operators?
We
Okay.
would be able to through the app, the phone app, not the PubWorks app.
They don't have communications on.
No.
Another good thing about
Email
this
them.
system with the map feature, one of the things that almost every county in the state suffers from is we have all of our bridges, located, whatever else. Almost every smaller than a bridge structure down to every entrance culvert, they have absolutely no idea what's out there. This system go up there and you go, boop, here's a such and such pipe, it's now locked. So eventually you could get a record of that. I mean, we're talking thousands
Yeah.
of structures
Absolutely.
out there. So most of the blade men would know that. Some of them, I mean, we've obviously been to the point where some of them, hey, we didn't realize there was a pipe there. You find a pipe, so. But anyway.
So there was some questions that we'd asked was, what happens if someone gets fired? What happens if someone leaves? And so all of that, we tried to cover as many questions as we could through them. And is the program customizable? Like, we didn't want some cookie cutter program. We wanted something that worked for us. And so they said, yes, everything in the mobile app that's drop downs, everything can be customizable in that way.
It's cost money.
Nope, all inclusive. Like
yeah.
that is part of them setting us up, is customizing it to
Setting
what
up,
this,
okay.
yeah, that's part of the setting up. So, and then we wanted to know how long they kept their customers. And their average customer stays with them between 10 and 15 years.
Dickinson County has been with them 12 years?
Yeah, I think
Something
so.
like that. Same thing, they just, it's working great.
Well, the listing of the other companies that are, other counties that are using this company, I mean, it's comparable counties.
Yes, yes.
And actually counties, I'd say, that are successful.
Well, testimonials say a lot to me.
Sure.
It's just, I go to my peers and I said, honestly, tell me what you think. Yeah, good luck. Once you get past that initial, phase, but.
So what's great is, the cloud application.
Yeah.
Guys can set it out to lake fish all day, so.
Whoa.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean.
Yeah. Okay.
I
now,
can sit at the beach and see what's going on here.
One of the things we talked about too is, as far as where we would get this, the money would come out of our.
Administrative contractual.
Right. So, the money that's there, we haven't used anywhere near that,
It's
so,
available.
yeah, we do have it.
I guess the other question I have is, what about Lloyd Davies? Has he reviewed it?
Really, Lloyd wouldn't have anything to do with it
It's
because it's all
insulated.
cloud-based.
We would have him, when we got the tablets, we would get with him about locking things down,
Yeah.
and securing it, and making sure all that was.
But, yeah,
Because
as far
he
as
knows how
what,
to do it.
everything
Yeah.
has
Yeah.
involved with it.
It's not-
But again, it's no different than the STAR stuff now, because all the stuff with STAR
I
has to
would,
go
I would
through.
just certainly ask.
Oh, yeah.
For.
There's no
move
county
on.
information on it. I mean,
Yeah,
you
that's why.
can't
Yeah.
access election records or nothing.
Oh, no.
Oh, right.
No. But again, we could lock that out to where there'd be no
You
internet.
also have to, he would have to be somewhat involved just
Yeah.
because of the networking and just
Yeah.
making sure
Yeah,
that
he'd need
everything
to
is
get up to
secure.
speed on.
Yeah. But honestly, if we could turn around and help him out too, one less thing for him, once we got past that first point. But anyway, so again, I would like to commend both of them. They have spent hours and hours and hours.
We can tell.
Done a very good job.
Tutorials, they've had phone conversations for hours and, I said, I think they've done a fantastic job, so.
Very good.
I read the whole thing, it was real good information. You sent last week.
So I don't know, do you have any other questions, or Jonah, do you have any
Yeah,
questions?
Yeah. I'm wondering if they have any geofence capabilities.
The what?
Geofencing capabilities?
Yeah, so where you can turn it on and off based on your service request. So when an operator may be going through a certain area, it would flag them rather than them having to remember to pull down their drop down menu.
No.
That's probably something we'll have to ask them. Yeah.
So if you drive to the spot and say, hey, you got a problem here, is that what you mean, Jonah?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
interesting.
I've got T-sheets,
Stop it.
so it's similar to this, but it's when I get close to a customer's address, they'll say, hey, do you need to check in here?
Huh, yeah, that'll be a question I'll have to ask.
That's a nice feature.
Yeah.
And then that helps the follow-up.
Yes.
Especially it came in that morning, they haven't checked in the afternoon or something.
Well, that's what's nice too, because if they don't do this daily, we gotta call them up and say, hey, it's gotta be done. So.
And there is another feature of accountability is when they enter a work order of what they've done, we get to review it. And we can either approve or disapprove that work order. So if they're missing, if it says they've spent 8 hours on one stretch of road, but there's no equipment, we can say, no, we're denying this work order. You need to tell us, okay, what were you doing while you were sitting there for 8 hours? Like, what equipment were you using? Were you working on a culvert? Was it something? So we have that ability, that oversight of saying, okay, they don't just have free reign of just pushing buttons all day. We get to, as the administrative, look at all of what they've done throughout the day and say, okay, this makes sense, this makes sense, this makes sense.
Jonah, do you have any other questions?
No, I thought it was pretty thorough. I think they answered everything I had except for the geofencing, so.
Okay. That was a good question.
Darn it, missed one.
Gotta leave
Well,
one.
we've been working on this for a long time, just basically asking all those questions and coming up with that, so.
No stupid questions.
But this program gets us out of the 1970, 1980-ish with the carbon copies and, so.
I just heard item after item that's been requested in this room over and over, and now there's no ability to say I don't have that information or I can't get it.
Or I'll get it to you in 5 minutes.
Or I called the office 2.5 years ago.
Yeah.
Well, and again, the problem that we've encountered in the past is the information that's called in or reported, was that exactly what was intended or said or whatever else, or the information is coming in third or fourth hand through the coffee shop. So are we getting the right information, are we not? Well, this should eliminate that. And so, and again, that accountability I think is huge.
Hey, your biggest problem is going to be to get all you guys to talk the same. I did this.
These drop-down menus will help that.
Well, they get a choice of,
Yeah.
I dug a ditch.
Those are all in there. So that's the other thing is right now, especially Katie, she has to try to discern what they have written with their holographs or whatever else, so again, if it's all the same information, it will be much easier to.
Some of them probably can't spell either.
Well,
Some handwriting's hard to read.
Yeah, like I say, that's the thing is.
Well, you get to know the guy that way.
Yes.
And you get some of them, man, they just give you everything every 5 minutes they've done it. Others, a couple lines. So, but anyway, so.
Very good.
Should create a lot more efficiency.
Yeah. So I guess
Just,
if there are any questions about it, you have approval or?
Jonah?
Say, go forward, I have no interest in the non-mobile. It would have to be mobile, which way we went, in my opinion.
Yeah, and that's what we said too. I mean, we're losing, if we don't go with the mobile, we're losing the biggest portion of it.
Any other questions?
Good job.
Is the commission comfortable in moving forward with the
I would
recommendation?
make the motion to proceed to the next step, which is to sign up and make a deposit.
Okay, we have a motion from Commissioner Becker to proceed with the Option on Pub Works.
Crowfoots.
Crowfoot, sorry. It's almost 4 o'clock.
Just a clarity, moving forward with the tablet or with the smartphone?
Tablet.
Tablets.
Yep, so I was gonna finish out Commissioner Crowfoot's.
I will second that.
Motion to proceed with the recommendation of Pub Works with mobile mini tablet. Setup cost $17,245, and then include 25 of the mini tablets.
That would be up to 25.
Up to 25.
Because we don't want to get any more than we have to.
Correct.
Like we're talking about being short help.
You can add as
But
you
we,
need.
yes.
Very good. So up to 25.
You're still gonna have to buy accessories too.
Yes.
Yes, and that accessories be included. That's second by Commissioner Gary. Any other questions? If not, all in favor say aye.
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 All opposed say nay. Motion carried 4-0. Did a very good job. I hope
And
that helped you.
Randy would vote for it if he had cake or
Chocolate cake.
Chocolate cake.
But, you know,
Anything she makes.
Next Monday,
Yeah.
cake.
Yeah. But like I said, I really have to commend these
Yes.
two. They have spent,
Thank you
considerable
for the
time.
Thank you guys for being observant.
Thank
Well,
you for
thank you.
listening to
You're-
us.
Knowing
you're
that I
right.
wasn't there and you sent me the updated stuff.
Yep.
On nice days, you can go outside and work at the picnic table.
Yep.
Yes, yes.
Don't
Yes.
laugh.
Just
Okay.
yes.
Very good.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for your time.
Get more done.
All right.
Okay, you had something with the council?
Executive session, non-elected personnel.
Okay. How long?
10 minutes.
Good, it got shorter before, it was 15, so.
I move we recess an executive session in order to discuss personnel matters pursuant to KSA 75-4319B. Item 1, personnel matters, non-elected personnel performance with Bryce, Commission, Brad, and Tina for 10 minutes from 3:49 to 3:59. Second by Commissioner Becker. All in favor say aye. All opposed say nay. We will be back at 3:59.
Well, they actually, about 40, they said they wanted 45 minutes, and that's what.
What is that then? Okay.
Yeah, so.
They must practice once before, maybe.
They've been.
So, Brad's got another executive session.
This conference will now be recorded.
You got the only one for me, Brad?
Yeah. Yeah, thank you.
Yep.
I think it's all. Oh, sorry. Never mind.
Thanks, Jessica.
Thank you, Bryce. 4, 3, 2, 1. We are out of executive session, no decisions made. We are going to have one more executive session. I think we'll be done for the day. Okay, I move we recess an executive session in order to discuss potential litigation pursuant to KSA 75-4319B. Consultation with our attorney. Number 2, consultation with our attorney-client privilege with Chuck, Commission, Brad, and Tina for 10 minutes from 4 o'clock to 4:10. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Becker. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. 4-0. We will be back at 4:10.
Oh, your bell's going off.
Okay. That's very good.
Oh, I got you.
Okay, thank you, Jonah. That's right, I forgot about the feedback. That's,
Yeah.
you gotta turn it off every time in between.
This conference will now be recorded.
Recorders are back in.
Well, you're a minute over.
Okay, so I'm okay to
Yeah,
go?
you're fine.
All right. We are out of executive session, no decisions made. Anything else the commission have? Any commission comments?
Can I get like 5 minutes executive session for some personnel issues?
Oh, sure.
If you,
Yep,
I'm
yep,
not,
yep.
wasn't on the agenda, so it's kind of last minute.
Yep. We got one more executive session. I move we recess into executive session in order to discuss personnel issues pursuant to KSA 75-4319B. Item 1, personnel matters, non-elected personnel performance with Chuck, Commission, Brad, and Tina for 5 minutes, 4:12 to 4:17. Second by Commissioner Becker. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carried. We will be back at 4:17. Oh, I think the Marion City meeting's already started. They start at 4 o'clock, I think.
Are you going to that meeting?
Yeah. Must be Phyllis.
This conference will now be recorded.
We should be able to use that game show, kind of a jingle
Use
thing
it.
right before the time expires.
3, 2, 1. All right, we are out of executive session. No decisions made. No more executive sessions. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Commissioner Becker, second by Commissioner Crowfoot. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carried. We are adjourned. Thank you, Jonah.
Yeah, thank you.
It was a long meeting, but the presentation was very